Welcome everyone to this second qualifier here for this season of Brawl Masters, the full 2021 seasons to be very specific here. My name is Teddy. I am joined by the one and only Trav. Trav, how are you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing really good actually. Back for the second qualifier, obviously once more with you. So, I mean, the first week was a bit of a shaky one for some teams, but they're back near enough all back again. I've had a little browse at the bracket for another try at this open qualifier.
Absolutely. Every week, a chance here to qualify for those sweet playoffs, those points. Really important. We'll get to that in a bit. First, the format for today. Well, it's the qualifiers. We have them 3 times. Afterwards, it's a last chance qualifier. The big difference here is that there won't be any prize pool for the last chance qualifier, but directly a spot into the playoffs, whereas during the open qualifiers, you have $2,000 prize pool, as well as those points for the top 8. Top 3 teams will be qualifying for the playoffs, and then obviously the 4th team to go to the playoffs is the team that wins the last chance qualifier. That's 4,000 prize pool as well, just for those playoffs, and that's just for EU. It's also there for NA as well, but look at that. $1,000 for that first place here in the qualifiers, $750 second, and $200 for third and fourth place. In the playoffs, that's all pretty much doubled, to be honest, more or less. So a lot of cash up for grabs. I'm excited, man. First qualifier was pretty epic. I'm expecting more of those exciting plays and games. Yeah, how have you been feeling about Brawl Stars at the moment, Trav? Where are you at right now? What's going on in game?
I was going to say, I mean, the meta's a little bit stale at the moment. I feel like we're seeing a lot of the same comps coming out over and over again on these maps, but this does shake it up a little bit. We have got the draft format that is the staple of Brawl Masters. Going to be starting off with those mode bans, and obviously the first team starts off, followed by the second, and back to the first again, and then they pick a map straight away after that, followed by the opposing team, and then the last one will be the last remaining mode that hasn't been picked or banned. Then after that, the ABBA brawler bans do start to come in, and that is obviously 2 bans per team. So I mean, it does take a few of those brawlers that have been really strong at the moment away, and opens it up for a few others.
Absolutely. We say it pretty much every season, but the draft system, so important, and to draft you need those maps and modes. For each mode there is one map that will be played on that day. Hard Rock Mine today for Gem Grab, Pinball Dreams in Brawl Ball, Dry Season for Bounty, Safe Zone in Heist, Ring of Fire in Hot Zone, and Factory Rush in Siege. So only those maps, but the rotation will be changing next week again to keep things fresh and have some new opportunities for that draft. But yeah, talking about the draft system, Trav, there's just so many extra possibilities and strategies to try to maximize your chances of winning. How do you work around that draft?
Yeah, well, I mean, first off, I think you've kind of got to decide whether you want to play your hand, so the maps that you're really strong on, or if you do know your opposing team, which starts to happen a bit later on into the bracket, and you start seeing what your opponents, and you know what they're going to be liking, then you choose whether you like to play your maps or whether you want to get rid of some of theirs.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll be seeing plenty of that today. Bunker Rog Esports versus Reply Totem is going to be our first match of today, and maybe we can see some of those different applications you were mentioning earlier. So yeah, looking forward to this one. Quite a stacked match, to be honest, for a round of 16 match. That's a pretty juicy one, not gonna lie. 2 teams that are going to World Finals. That's a pretty decent matchup. Brawl and Hot Zone banned out by Bunker, Totem banning Heist, picking Siege on Factory Rush, Bounty on Dry Season, Gem Grab on Hard Rock Mine are going to be the picks for Bunker Rog, going for the Mortis and Bell bans as well, and then Brock and Ash for Totem. Interesting stuff. I'm particularly looking at that Mortis ban. I feel like it's a brawler that we do see banned once in a while, but usually it is when you're facing a team that just always somehow ends up playing it. You feel like Totem is one of those teams? Do you think it's going to be a very hurtful ban for him?
I mean, possibly. I mean, Mau's a very, very accomplished Mortis, I will say, so it's good to get out of the way if you are playing against him. I feel like you're seeing the two opposite sides of the coin here. Brock and Ashe going to be banned for Totem, and they're kind of just getting the really, really strong meta brawlers out of the way, and then Bunker are trying to opt for, as I said, going for something that your opponent really does like to play, so getting Mortis and Bell out of the way is kind of really, really good against Totem, and hopefully it'll show for them if they do want to take this win.
Well, we got game 1 starting already. Some interesting matchups here, as we have quite a couple of different brawlers on the map. Just the Ricos in common here between those two comps. And so the Breza is able to get the kill, actually. That's quite a big one, because that bolt is dropped. If he can make it safely, well, he's not gonna make it back safely as he gets stabbed by a shield. And now we end up having just that level 1 bot for Totem. Honestly, not even that bad, considering the fact that they can just stack those bolts for later. You know, that first bot, you're not really going to find too much value with it anyways, or at least most of the time. So it can be quite beneficial to just get those bolts and get that nice lead forward, especially if you manage to get 39% of a level 1 siege bot.
Yeah, I was going to say, you'd expect a bit more of a strong defense from a Pam Rico on the defensive side, and it just really didn't come through. Mori's going to fall extremely low thanks to that Mama Squeeze from Mommy, though, and yeah, I mean, Soy, Breza and Maro are just holding their side so cleanly that, you know, Bunker are still yet to bank a bolt, and that's going to be really, really worrying, because with the amount of damage, as you did mention, they've already done, it's going to be a 2-push possibility here if they do really go for it.
I was going to say, surely they will eventually bank that bolt that is on their side of the Ike. They do so now, but that's still the only bolt they have. Pretty beefy siege bot here on that Ike, and GG's for game number 1. That was very dominant, Trav. It was very much one-sided here in favor of Reply Totem. Bunker, they had some forms of control early on, but I feel like that kill that Sword of Breza got on her right side, that he really wasn't supposed to get, to be honest. He survived with like 200 HP in a 2 versus 1. I think that made such a big difference, because after that, Bunker, they were a little bit pushed back, and they were never able to get even close to taking back any mid control. They were always under their Ike's protection, which might sound very nice, but it's really not. You want to be chasing for those bolts. And yeah, they were just not able to do any sort of a retake on either lanes or mid. Just really forced back on their side of the map and not able to pick up a single bolt, like just a 1, right? That's tough.
Yeah, I mean, as far as first games go, that is an extremely dominant one, and it does make you a little bit worried for Bunker if it does carry on like this. I will say Totem have been playing out of their minds recently, just really, really strong, and I think Bunker kind of the opposite at the moment. They haven't been their usual selves of being able to take games and sets and even matches off of these really, really strong teams, and it does make you a little bit worried after that first game about how they're going to progress through this this entire match, never mind through the bracket, because they could be cut extremely short here, which is something that they definitely don't want to be happening after, you know, a disappointing last week, either not playing or not getting very far, because I don't recall seeing him in the bracket at all.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and especially in a best of 3, it's quite brutal, right? It can go extremely quickly. They need to be really careful now, especially since, you know, those are 2 teams that have their insecurities and have yet to really prove that they can dominate through the region. So momentum is going to be a very important factor to work with, because when you hit, you can hit really hard, and those kind of games, they're huge here. Totem gonna try to capitalize on that as much as possible. We'll have to see in game 2. What sort of changes are you expecting? I'm expecting changes, right, at this point. That was just not working out at all for Bunker. What sort of changes would you see fit here?
I was going to say, I think it goes without saying maybe take the Pam out, because you're going to play the Pam for the defense or some really, really good control, and they had absolutely neither of it. The defenses were not on point, and they had no control whatsoever, so they couldn't get the value out of the turrets, they couldn't get the value out of the defenses, and it makes me very, very worried that, you know, with a Rico and Pam defense, they're able to get 39% with a 1 bolt push. It's definitely worrying for Bunker. So I mean, I'm thinking maybe try switch that out, go for something a bit more aggressive, which it seemed that Reply Totem with the team who did try and opt for the aggressive play.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like that was probably one of the weaker links as well. Overall, I wouldn't say it was the biggest like out-comp either from Totem. I feel like both comps could have really worked, but the execution was just a lot better for Totem. And I think the comp from Bunker, they just didn't really have too much utility to retake that mid area. So if you already don't defend perfectly with that comp, as you mentioned, you should be able to get some really clean defenses early on. You need to have more utility to retake the mid, because they just weren't utilizing the benefits of their comp, and they were, you know, lacking of any ways to take back control. So yeah, it was a bit of a nightmare first game here for Bunker. They definitely have what it takes though to come back. I mean, we mentioned it earlier. This is pretty much as tightly matched as a round of 16 match can get. So there's definitely some chances, but they need to get on point with those comps, and then we need to see some popping off from Bunker.
Yeah, I will say, I feel like it's only really a possibility of these two teams playing in the round of 16 because they either didn't show up last week or didn't do very well. So that kind of amplifies how well they need to do this week and the coming week as well if they don't want to be forced to play in that last chance qualifier. And, you know, if you do that, you've got an enhanced amount of pressure on you because there's no prize pool lying there, and it's all in the playoffs after these 3 open qualifiers are finished. So they definitely need to try and get some work done this week, especially because they're a week behind in points already. They need to be getting at least top 4 to be able to have a chance, I feel.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, ideally, you qualify before the last chance qualifiers, right? There's 60% of the prize pool just in those 3 open qualifiers. You might as well have that and not have to go through the entire last chance qualifier. Obviously, if they don't qualify, they probably will end up having to do so. We'll be happy to, but there's no prize pool in that, as you mentioned. So the grind should be now, and it's an important match here for them in this round of 16. Let's move on to game number 2. They did adapt, did copy-paste a couple of those brawlers. At least the 2. The Rico was already there, I believe, as well as the Piper. So not too big of a difference. Pretty much just a PAM going, just as you predicted, Trav. Good job.
Thank you. I mean, it's a bit unusual to see this Gene coming out. It's been a bit of a while since I've seen that. He's going to be using those spirits that are attacking them as well. So an early push for Totem, and yet again the same comparable control we saw in the last game. Heal's going to be directly onto BrawlMSTRS, and that breakthrough didn't do any damage, which I'm a little bit worried about, so I'm not sure what happened there. But the push going down the left-hand side, and they've got absolutely no control whatsoever. But BrawlMSTRS is going to be caught out by the Icon shot instead of the siege bot, and he goes down without the breakthrough.
Yeah, I don't know if he used a gadget or not, like if he already clicked on it or not, because that could have been a bit problematic if he did, because that's just a lost gadget. But anyway, still 36% damage, that's the thing. They're doing the most out of those little bots as well. They're going to be securing bot number 2 pretty much guaranteed as well. So really a pretty sweet position for Totem so far. We'll see if Bunker can get a couple more bolts. Those could be oh so valuable. Getting into the 3rd preparation phase. Things could be worse for Bunker. It definitely was a lot worse in the previous game. But they do have to defend off this bot, and we've seen in the past that they're not always so successful on that defense. It's a lot better this time around, but still, they take a lot of damage.
Yeah, I mean, you see BrawlMSTRS near enough nowhere to be seen coming out the spawn, and the Shield's doing quite a good job of keeping it the distance needed to try and take the Stew out of the mix. He gets taken down, but that's a bolt lying at the back. A Shield's too low to aggress it, and Maru also extremely low. We're seeing a couple of bolts being banked now by Totem, making it 4-4 as these two do get taken back. And a pull, a lovely pull at that from Mori to secure that bolt, and he gets it for 4 or 5 seconds too, and that is a game-changing pickup.
Yep, that pull, and just combined with the push from BrawlMSTRS mid, being able to take down the shield on that Piper as well. That's pretty much where it was GG's. There was still a chance all the way until the end there for Bunker, if they could have had that final bot, but they just couldn't. They just couldn't. Reply Totem was a very strong first set, not gonna lie. Even though this game was a lot closer, and it somehow felt like it was a pretty close game, they got every single bot again, and I think that says a lot about how strong they're feeling right now. Well, that's already Siege for you, and Bounty is gonna be up next. I believe it was dry season, if my memory is correct. So What are you expecting there, Trev? What sort of brawlers are most popular here at the moment?
I was gonna say with the Bell and the Brock being out of the mix, it kind of either opens it up to, you know, the throwers and Piper, or maybe even some tankier units that are going to be combating that, like the Buzz. Not the Mortis this time, as it's not in play, but you can still play the Buzz in the aggressive position, maybe with like a Daryl and a Poco or something like that. However, with that Mortis out of the mix, I do feel like the throwers are going to be kind of like the staple of this map.
Yeah, I think so too. I feel like throwers have a very good opportunity at shining here, right? As you mentioned. Less sharpshooters and no Brock, particularly, and that just removes most of what we use at the moment for destruction, right? If you want to have some more destruction, you can go Colt, but it's just not something that really works on this map. So, yeah, not a ton of options here besides something thrower heavy, I feel like, or as you mentioned, some tanks could work. We've seen Daryl slowly getting back in the meta. I don't feel like he's actually getting stronger, but he's able to counter some of those squishier brawlers that we've been seeing a lot lately. So we've seen teams experimenting with him again, especially with the Buzz, as you mentioned. And I feel like particularly when Mortis is banned, that's something we see quite often, you know, the Daryl, Buzz, Poco. So wouldn't be too surprising to see that come either. But besides that, I don't think you can go too wrong with some throwers. Bring in, you know, the Tick, the Sprout. I don't know if you would go triple throw. That feels a little bit extreme maybe as well. But if there's a map where you can, I feel like it's probably dry season.
Yeah, probably so. I mean, the possibility of the roughs coming in might be quite high as well. Being able to, you know, buff up your teammates with the field command, the buff of the HP. I'm forgetting the star power name. I think it's field promotion. It'll just come back to me, field promotion, and then also the supply drops that do come from the supers as well to buff up the teammates. No wall break obviously required, as they are trying to play with the wall. So I feel like that can definitely be quite a good strategy as well. But I mean, overall, yeah, I think it's, you know, one of the three. You go for the Piper and throwers for the range kind of take on things, the roughs to buff their teammates up, or you just go all out aggressive and try walk over your opponents.
Yeah, we'll see. It's definitely an interesting here. I feel like the bans are literally all applicable to this map, whereas, you know, in Siege and even in Gem Grab, some of them are not very likely to be used in the first place. But here on Dry Season, every single one is relevant. So it's probably one of the sets that they targeted the most, and that's usually how you want to be doing your draft as well for your bans, right? You want to make sure that the two first maps are the best covered ones, because they're the, you know, I was gonna say the most likely to be played, but they're 100% gonna be played. And the second one, sometimes you just really want to be sure you have that one in the pocket, because even if you lose the first one, as long as you have the second one, at least you have a chance of going on to Gem Grab here. We'll see what they decide to go for. As you mentioned, I feel like throwers, tanks, pretty much where it's going to be at here. Piper could maybe make some appearances. I do feel like it's not as versatile as it used to be. Or there's, you know, usually you just end up seeing something like a Bell or a Brock instead. So let's find out. We got a game. We are about to hop in here, and you made a very good shot with that Ruffs. Leon is a brawler we forgot, I believe, but it makes a lot of sense. Just so many different options to be placing down that lollipop drop. Thing is, against throwers, it's gonna get destroyed rather quickly, so I'm not even sure if it makes as much sense. But we'll see if it pays off. On the other hand, we have the Byron. That's gonna be providing a lot of heals, and that can go a long way as well in securing some of those pushes, as you're able to tank through a couple of those stick shots a little easier.
Yeah, and, you know, as you said it, the lollipop drop went down, and so does Mommy there, and some really good control off the start from Applied Totem. Not sure about the synergy between the Byron and the throwers. It's not something you usually see together, considering the throwers like to sit comfortably behind walls and stay at a good amount of HP anyway. But some aggression coming in from Mori, and it is backed up by the heals. Mommy being tapped, so as much as his invisibility is going to help him out, he's going to be getting the heals, but no real sneak available, as Maru's keeping him firmly tapped up. A super to follow up, and that's one more pickup for Totem there, and a bit of a disappointing start for Bunker as well.
Yeah, I actually really like the Byron, because I feel like when you end up having so many throwers on the map, it can be a bit of a nightmare sometimes getting up close and finding any sort of control if you lose the lead early on. But here with the Byron, they're always going to be full HP. They can just tank through any tick shots. Like, his shots are literally just not they don't really do anything, do they? It's just not enough damage, and the tick heads might be able to help out a little bit more, but I don't know. I feel like Maru is covering a lot of ground with that Byron pick, and Reply Totem are able to do a lot of work already. They haven't dropped a single death just yet, by the way, whereas on the sides of Bunker, it's not going too great so far. 5 seconds left here. Can we have a final push? I mean, who am I kidding here? Reply Totem at match point.
Yeah, I mean, Mommy was just completely shut down by the Byron and the throwers there. It's really, really good pick, I will say. I'm going to retract my statement of questioning the Byron a little bit because it can scout out that Leon really, really well, and then the throwers can just deal with the lollipop drops as soon as they come down. So a lovely, lovely comp from Reply Totem there. And Bunker on the edge of defeat at this point, got to be in a bit of a tough position in terms of choosing comps, and they've been taking their time as it is. So, you know, there's a possibility of them just making a complete last call and bringing out some tanks, I feel.
Yeah, I think that's a really good shot, because at this point, nothing's really been working out for Bunker. There was that one game in Siege that was a little bit closer and where they could have picked up that final bot, but even then, they still would have needed to deal a lot of damage. So it wasn't even that close either, you know. And here, I mean, this is as dominant as the first game of Siege, right? And we know how that set ended. Bunker, if they want to avoid that, I feel like they got to take some risks right now. They're not having too great of a Brawl Stars day so far, and everyone's gonna, you know, have some days off, or sometimes even just a couple of games off. Thing is, in a best of 3, you don't have enough time to really warm up. You gotta be warm from the start until the end, because it can go by so quickly. So I completely agree. I feel like going for those tanks, hoping to have some nice counters, or perhaps just something a little bit easier to play and to pull off. I think that's probably the only solution I see at this point. If they go for the mirror matchup, I just feel like Totem are going to be better at executing it.
Yeah, I feel definitely agree with you at the moment with that. Totem are just looking like the better team by far throughout the entire Siege set, and then that's about as dominant as a competitive game of Brawl Stars usually goes in terms of bounty. So yeah, I'm slightly worried for Bunker at this point. I feel like the clean sweep's definitely on the cards if Reply Totem pull similar levels of skill to what they've been bringing out so far, along with the comps, being really, really smart about those two. So, I mean, yeah, they've kind of got to make a final stand on the side of Bunker and pull something completely, you know, out of the ordinary out, whether it's the tanks, whether it's just something completely different that they've been trying in scrims that we haven't seen before, to try and throw Reply Totem off a little bit and start this complete reverse sweep in a best of 3, best of 3.
Yeah, I mean, that's the moment to start with those comebacks, right? Gotta start when it's a dire situation like this one. Do I believe in it? Not really, to be honest. I'm not sure if they believe in it themselves, to be fair, at this point, but there's always that possibility. And they gotta pop off now. They really do, because Totem has been looking really dominant, have been looking really, really good overall. And on both sets so far, whether it's the comms or the execution, it's been a lot more clean on their end. They're going for the same stuff on both sides, besides the Piper coming in instead of the Ruffs. Interesting. I'm not sure what to think of that, Trav. I don't think I like it all that much.
Yeah, I was going to say interesting to say the least as well, because, you know, Shield's going to struggle a lot against the throwers off the start, and you can see already Mori already aggressing so far up the map, and Mommy's having to make a bit of a rotation across, a bit of a Lasserar from Darkum to knock him back, but it doesn't seem to be working out at all, as Soidebrez is going to come up and secure that kill alongside Mori, and this is the point where Shields just shouldn't be able to get any supers if Totem do play it right, and that's where he's going to struggle, as they've got absolutely no wall break, and they're stuck firmly in spawn.
Man, that's one aggressive Sprout on Maori, not gonna lie. I love how he's just playing it as if he doesn't need walls, you know? However, he did lose his Byron, so this is where things can kind of get dangerous for him, but he managed to just heal up. And he's gonna get the kill onto a shield, fair enough. Where we see danger, he just sees an opportunity to clutch up. Darkum very low HP. But, actually, Mauri should not have had to tank that. I feel like there were some possibilities to take down that Tickhead. He does go down. So the lead is definitely not as drastic in the previous game. At least Bunker got some kills this time around, but still, 3 stars in favor of Totem, and Bunker have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, slightly worrying for them as well. Mummy's just popped his super and moved from one bush on his side of the map to another bush on his side of the map. So some good spray from Totem to try and scout him out there, and he just couldn't move up the map any further as he'd taken a lot of damage. Mori not going to be taking the head to the face at just this time. And only 1 star behind now as the Byron falls down once more. Going to come back up with some healing. Mommy's sitting nice and tight in the left-hand side. Does come out and reveal himself, but he's taken extremely low by doing it. And there you go. The trades are there, and 1 star lead, but now added 2 by the pickup. And Reply Totem are going to secure themselves the round of 16 match, and Bunker are going to be going home.
Once again, you know, the second game of the set, a lot closer, but it was hard to be more dominant, you know, than the previous game. So obviously it was going to be closer. However, just not enough. Once again, a bit of a similar story to Siege here, and with the best of 3, that's already it. That's already it. We got a 2-0 sweep, and yeah, Bunker, it just didn't really feel like they joined the server ever, did it? They were always a little bit absent, a little bit behind some way, and when you gotta adapt your comps immediately after the first game every single time, it's just not the best sign, is it? You gotta get your comps right, and sometimes you're gonna mess it up, but here, yeah, just a flawless performance pretty much from Totem, and Bunker just really not able to match it.
Yeah, complete whitewash there from Totem. Bunker going out once more. I mean, at this point, they can show up next week for the prize pool, but I don't think those points that they're going to accumulate are really going to put them in the playoffs, so the last chance qualifier is going to be the literal last chance for them. I believe we do have a bit of a bracket ready, as the majority of teams will have made it to the round of 16 by now, and you can see there, teams making it to the quarterfinals, and Clash and Fruitas have already made it that far, along with Blood Diamond, who have just taken down Pharmacy Senders. I will say, Navi versus Oka Gaming should be a solid match in the round of 16 too, but SK and Final Stand still waiting as well. Big and EGN, and they're in the bottom right hand side. Reply Totem did just take down Bunker Rock.
All right, it is progressing, but you predicted what was going to be coming up next. Navi versus Oka Gaming. An interesting one here. I don't know how good Oka Gaming is at the moment. I've seen them in the past, but I wasn't the most convinced yet. Looking forward to see them play again. It's been a while, to be honest, for me. Let's check this out. So, Gem Grab on Hard Rock Mine, pick from Oka. Hot Zone on Ring of Fire, Brawl and Pinball Dreams. Those are the picks from Navi. And they'll be banning Poco and Sprout, Ash and Brock are going to be banned by Oka. Interesting, but for some reason I feel like I remember Navi very often going for both Sprout and Poco as bans. Not even really map specifically either, just pretty much not enjoying those brawlers being played. Whether it's the, you know, a map where you would really see it in the first place or not, I feel like we don't see that much Sprout on Ring of Fire nor Hard Rock Mine at the moment. Pinball Dreams, I have yet to really, you know, be sure about it just yet. But I don't know. How do you feel about this?
I mean, I remember Navi used to ban Poco and Jean quite a lot when Jean was very strong, so they're definitely carrying that Poco ban across from previous metas, and clearly still not a fan of it. Sprout, on the other hand, though, it is, you know, it can be used on Hard Rock Mine to combat the Rico that we see near enough every single match on that map. So I feel like that's quite a good ban, and also Pinball Dreams, I feel like it can be extremely useful there to wall off quite a lot of lanes too. But Ash and Brock on the other side from Oka, which I feel is quite unusual, because I think near enough any person can see that they are the underdog team in this match. I think that usually means they'll throw a bit of a spanner in the works and not ban those broken brawlers. Well, not broken, but very, very strong brawlers, Ash and Brock at the moment, and try and play them to, yeah, as I said, throw a bit of a spanner in the mix. Yeah,
especially a brawler like Ash, you know, like Brock. I get it a little bit more just to the fact that if you have really good aim, you can find just a lot more value of the Brock, even though it is clearly easier to hit your shots in before, right? But still, you're going to be missing quite a couple of shots, and I feel like, you know, between a tier 1 team like Na'Vi and Oka in the tier 2, probably Na'Vi would be able to find a lot more value of that Brock pick. But for Ashe, you know, I feel like that could be the wild card, as you mentioned, that Oka could use to really find some interesting matchups and try to steal away a couple of games just through the comps. So, yeah, as you said, an interesting decision. We'll see how it pays off here. In my books, this should be a pretty decent matchup here for Na'Vi and a fairly dominant win. How do you feel about this? How do you feel about Oka in general? I haven't seen them play in a little bit, so I'm excited to see how they progressed.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm in the same boat as you. Haven't seen them too much, but I mean, I haven't really seen their name at all watching competitive since I've last casted them, so it doesn't really show the best signs to me, whereas Na'Vi have been on top of the game at the moment. I believe they took down SK in a complete sweep in ESL yesterday, so definitely playing very, very well at the moment, and if I was Oka, I'd be a little bit worried about that.
Yeah, no, you're completely right. They still really have to prove themselves. They do have some players that have, you know, decent history in the tier 2 scene and that have some achievements. The question is, you know, how has that synergy built up? That was what was lacking last time we saw them as well, right? They were just not really able to play too much as a team just yet. And hopefully they've put in the time and they managed to work to improve that. We'll be starting with Hard Rock Mine. Any particular brawlers that you feel are dominant right now on Hard Rock Mine in the meta?
I feel like Rico goes without saying that it's a very, very strong brawler, but at the moment we've seen quite a lot of like tanks come in as well with alongside the Max, depending on what kind of mids are banned out of the way, and it doesn't seem like many of the usual, or the norm, should I say, mids have been banned out of the mix. So I feel like that's kind of been closed off, especially because the Rico's still in there as well, so I don't think we'll be seeing too many tanks. But Sprout can also be a very, very good lane, also banned out of the way, so I mean, it kind of does close it off a little bit. Possibly the Leon could be a bit of a solid pick, depending on who's going to be playing it. I feel like that's kind of a big point of Leon at the moment. It really depends on who's going to be playing it, but it's going to be MMA, so it should be quite a good pick.
All right, we have some pretty similar matchups here. The difference is going to be that Bell versus Piper in mid, and that's a difference we see quite often, you know, very different approaches to a similar role that you're going to be filling. Piper maybe a little bit better at those straight up duels, whereas Bell can avoid your opponents stacking up too close together, as you will have those bounces, and the Mark can be so good against those tanks as well as those traps to gain some control. So fairly different overall, but there is that kill. Joka not going to be capitalizing off that. I feel like those gems were free to be picked up, to be completely honest, but he won't. So not today. They're going to be staying in the hands of Na'Vi for now.
Yeah, I feel like maybe a lack of communication was there. Probably thought someone was in the bush, or the lollipop drop on top of that as well. And that's given Na'Vi a complete wash over this game. They do have 10 gems in hand, and a couple of nest eggs going down as well to be walked over by Oka if they do manage to aggress this far up the map. But it's not looking like they're going to be able to, as Miku's going to go down, and Joker and Natur Talon just aren't going to be able to get far enough up. Na'Vi take the first game quite convincingly with a 10-0 lead.
Yeah, I feel like those gems dropped were really big missed opportunity. I mean, I wasn't entirely sure. We couldn't really see what was happening on the bottom of that map, but I'm pretty sure no one was alive near those gems. And the respawns were really, really slow. So I feel like there was that gap where they could at least have picked up a couple. Maybe not go all the way in the bush and pick up, like, you know, the 6 or 7 gems that were there. But 1 or 2 would definitely have been safe. And honestly, I don't feel like it would have been that impossible either to even pick up all of them, or a big part. So missed opportunity here for Oka, and that's where it gets a little problematic, right? Because Na'Vi, they're the sort of teams that is not going to give you a lot to work with, but when they do, you gotta capitalize. you gotta punish them when that sort of stuff happened. And I feel like Oka didn't, and it's a little bit worrying because that should be a bit of a freebie, and you don't usually get that against a top team like Na'Vi. So yeah, a bit of a scary thought here, and we'll see how Oka can recover. But Na'Vi looked pretty good besides that.
Yeah, I usually think the Bell comes in as a bit of a precautionary measure to the tanks, as you had mentioned earlier. So, because there was none of those, you expect the Piper to be able to excel, literally being able to two-tap Bell in any scenario, as long as she doesn't take a hit herself and that positive feedback come in and give her the shield. But I mean, you really do expect the Piper to be winning that matchup. It is a bit difficult when the Rico does aggress so far up the map that you don't have a lot of room to work with in the middle. But, I mean, the Bell should definitely be losing that matchup. And the one time it did, they didn't go for the gems in what should have been a bit of an easy scenario.
Yeah, you could feel some of that clunkiness in Oka when they didn't pick up those gems, whether it was miscommunication of, how many were alive and where, or maybe thinking there might be a mark around there where there wasn't, to be fair. But all that kind of stuff, and overall also just feeling like a little overwhelmed and respecting Na'Vi too much just because they know how good they are. They did manage to get first blood here, but once again we're not able to capitalize of it too much, and now Na'Vi able to pick up a kill, does get traded out in the end, but so far none of the gems picked up for either sides.
Yeah, I mean, they're picking up kill after kill. They got the initial kill onto MMA, and then the Piper picks one up as well, but still, no control, no gems, and Na'Vi have got 6 in hand. MMA still in an aggressive position with Super as well, so he's just going to be trying to pick off Gioke, who does waste a homemade recipe along the way too. Miku trying to get a nice little pickup in there, but all he's going to be doing is feeding MMA yet another Super, and he's going to capitalize on that and take their Tur talent down and relieve a bit of pressure off Cubic.
Yeah, this is looking pretty good for Na'Vi. The flank door from Miku might pay off, but he's only able to get the 1. MMA will be picking up the 10 gems, and honestly, that's probably even better as he runs back with the invisibility as well. Cubic takes down Nature Talent, and it's Cube, not Cubic. Miku is not able to do much on that right side, and Na'Vi, just like that, that's already the first set. Yeah, pretty much how we expected things to go, but I feel like this is the result I expected, but the way it happened is not really what I expected. I feel like Na'Vi are making mistakes. They're just not really getting punished for it too much, and I don't know if it's Oka just being too respectful and playing too scared of Na'Vi or what is going on, but I feel like Na'Vi are making mistakes that could be exploited so much more than they have been so far. Like, Oka are finding the entries. They're finding the kills, they're finding some value here and there, but every time they get some kills, they don't gain any control of it. They don't go for a pinch, they don't manage to pick up any gems. There's just no value from that kill.
Yeah, I mean, that is the worrying part as well, because, if a team like Na'Vi are giving you those openings to, turn the game on its head, you've got to be able to take them, and that's what separates the Tier 1 to Tier 2 teams. You've got to be able to take advantage of those moments where teams do slip up, and you've also got to be the team who doesn't really slip up at all. So, a bit of a stalemate here in terms of whether Na'Vi are going to be that team who gives them the opportunities, which they probably shouldn't be doing at this point either. Both teams are very much open to a game turnaround here. It's just whether or not they're going to aggress far enough and take advantage of the certain moments that do open it up to be able to turn the game on its head. However, though, I believe we are going to be seeing Ring of Fire Hot Zone coming up next, which is, a bit of a worrying map once more for Oka Gamers. I feel like the Bell should be forced out here, and if you're losing a Piper versus Bell matchup, I can't really imagine what's going to be happening Bell versus Bell.
Yeah, that's a very fair point, and especially Ring of Fire, it's one of those maps where you do have to rely a lot on your mechanics and your aim, because you end up having a lot of those long-range fights, and they're not easy to take, and off the get-go, it's already going a lot better for Na'Vi as they pick up the first kill. Cube does take quite a bit of damage here. He's going to have to be careful as Joka goes for that mid-zone, but Alex goes for the Super, is not able to pick up the kill off it, and Cube can't quite get in there in time for the trade. Na'Vi still leading by 13% early on. Not too bad of a start. Oka Gaming are still contesting that mid, so it's looking like a closer game than what we've seen in Gem Grab so far.
Yeah, Navi, you're going to be taking on that East Asia meta of playing Tara, which honestly against this comp's really going to be quite a good thing to do because you've got those support from beyond against the Crow and against the Bell, and in addition to the Byron as well, I guess, to tank a lot. And it seems to be working as he does get up a good position on the map. Whether or not he's going to be able to capitalize it is a different question. But Cube doing a lovely job of staying in the mid. Mark does get missed, however, though, and Gioka's heals onto Miku are going to go quite a long way, along with that jump from Return Talent as well. Doesn't manage to connect a shot onto Alex in time to get a double slow off, but eventually the Bell will fall, and he does manage to get the solo off, and a bit of an opening up for Oka has come through here.
Man, the anti-heal has been so strong there from Oka overall, countering the enemy Byron very effectively. And I feel like that's pretty much the only reason they've been in the mix, because so many times as he used his super as his heals, and whether it's the Crow or the Melee's star power from Gioka on the Byron, it's been doing some work for sure. The thing is, it's still Na'Vi that they are facing, and that's not quite going to be enough as Nature Talent goes down. Not before getting a trade, but in the end, it's still a pretty dominant game. I feel like they stood a chance. Yeah, once again, that anti-heal did do a lot of work early on, and it did enable them to get a couple of kills. They capitalized off those kills more often than what we've seen in Gem Grab, but it was still very far from being enough, as they almost had twice the capture time, right? So strong performance from Na'Vi. Match point now coming up, and I'm not even sure how Oka should adjust here. I feel like comp-wise, that's something pretty decent. I honestly might even prefer their comp to Navi's. I think Tara did okay, but I don't feel like it was, you know, the most dominant brawler either. And especially when you know that Byron is going to be coming here, you should probably have some sort of anti-heal, and I think Crow does a really good job at that. What do you think? How should those comps be going next game?
I mean, as I say, I completely agree with you in that sense. I definitely feel like Oka had a very strong comp, and they probably should have won it with that matchup. However, you know, when the Tara did eventually go over onto that Crow lane, it was a bit problematic for Oka because the support from beyond can just tank so many shots and avoid being healed, slowed down by the slowing Toxin herself. So that's a really good play to make with Tara, just getting over onto that Crow side. But overall, I mean, I feel once those gadgets are gone, you should be dominating near enough the complete game. But I mean, this is lining up to be the second complete sweep of the night, and if Oka don't work something out and play the comp that they already initially had better, it's going to be a very tough situation, and they're probably going to be knocked out of this bracket.
Yeah, it's not looking too good so far. I mean, we came into this matchup, honestly, I was kind of expecting a 4-0 sweep in games. This is what we've been getting, at least so far, so we'll see if Oka are able to pull something off here. As you said, I feel like comp-wise, to me, they have the superior comp. So if they can't win with that, I'm not sure what they can do in a matchup like this. I'm really not so sure. So there's only going to be one way to find out. Obviously, you know, they are going to be strategizing right now. They're going to be thinking if there's any changes that they feel like are fit. But I don't think so. I think they should stick with the same and maybe, you know, work on some of the other aspects of their gameplay. Maybe communication is an issue. It felt like in Gem Grab it may have been. They are going to be sticking to the same, I believe. We do see some differences here for Na'Vi, bringing in the Leon and the Piper, which is definitely going to be an interesting dynamic mid. And I feel like Bell can find some pretty decent value in a matchup like this, but they need to find it first, because right now it's not looking too great. Miku getting tagged up quite a bit. MMA is going to be very low HP, should be dealt with really soon, but Alex is there on the flank, not able to find a single kill just yet. It's very low HP. He does dodge that super from the Byron, and he gets a kill as well before going down, so in the end, pretty good value considering Na'Vi were the ones sitting in that zone in the meantime.
Yeah, I mean, considering he didn't really go into that situation expecting to stay alive for as long as he did, never mind pick up a kill along with it, is a really good scenario for him, because, I mean, with that Invisi heal, he can tank damage all day long, and it just shows Na'Vi here in a very good position because of it. Homemade Recipe does connect, and Cube's going to pick up a matchup quite early on too, and now Bell just getting a few connecting shots, and that's really what matters here, because it's going to be the connecting shots that are going to be the difference maker here, because it seems like Cube's the one who's doing it a lot more recently. Natur talent goes down as well as the Piper jump is pulled out and gets baited into a tough scenario, 67% to 10, and it's looking like it might be closed out by Navi relatively soon.
Yeah, this is not looking too good here for Oka. A 60+ lead in favor of Navi, and it's still going up and up and up. Alex, it's a sweet little... Oh, I was gonna say double kill. Doesn't quite get the double, actually, but Cube will, and there you have it. Navi able to close this one out very convincingly, very much convincingly. Very, very good matchup for them here, and they were able to fully capitalize on that run of 16 match. Make it a clean 4-0. No stress whatsoever. I feel like danger was something they were able to avoid during that entire match. It never felt like things could get out of hand, you know? So, great performance from them. Oka will be going home empty-handed. And I think they got a lot of work to do, because this was just kind of all over the place on their end. And a lot of the signs of what you would expect from a team like them, and with the players that they have, which are pretty decent players, are just not there just yet. So a lot of work to do. Let's give a look at our bracket and see how the other teams have been doing in their round of 16 matches. We have Blood Diamond knocking out Pharmacy Senders. Navi against Oka. We just watched that one. Frutas won against Tribe?
Well, that's a bit of an unexpected scoreline, but I mean, if you managed to do it, then commendable performance to you, I guess.
Okay, that's definitely an interesting one. SK won against Final Stand, not a big surprise over there. Totem, we saw them earlier as well, and Big won against EGN. Not really the biggest surprise either, so no huge upsets besides Tribe somehow going down to Frutas 2-1. Definitely that's something we'd expect, but once again, in a best of 3, everything is possible. You just win that first set and suddenly you have a world of possibilities ahead of you. Even if you are the underdog, you can definitely close it out. But before we move on to those quarterfinals, let's take a couple minutes break for both the players and us to breathe for a second, and we'll see you guys in just a couple of minutes. Welcome back. We are just past the round of 16 and we're starting to get some of those quarterfinals showing up. AC Milan Clash versus FA Frutas is gonna be starting any minute now. And this is a bit of an interesting one, especially considering Frutas took down Tribe Gaming EU 2-1. Not something we'd expect, definitely a bit of an upset alert over there. We'll see if they can pull off the impossible again against AC Milan Clash. Definitely gonna be a really tough matchup for them. Gem Grab on Hard Rock Mag is gonna be the first pick here from Frutas. Dry Season on Bounty is gonna be the pick from Clash, as well as How to on Ring of Fire. Just before we get to the brawler bans, interestingly enough, Clash banned Brawl first. I find it interesting. Siege, I'm not surprised, but Brawl, I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say sometimes I think we just need to take a step back and realize, you know, Clash, they're good at every single game mode. It doesn't just have to be Brawl Ball. So I mean, it might just possibly be the map that they don't like because it is still relatively new to the map pool once more. So maybe they just don't like that map. And I feel like Pinball Dreams is one of the maps that does open up quite a lot of different aspects of the meta. So I mean, it can make it a bit more volatile. So maybe it is a good idea to get it out of the way. And you know, going on to the bans eventually, we do have Tick and Brock, which is yet another weird pick, I will say. And then we're going to take out Poco and Ash out of the mix for Frutas.
Yeah, Tick is definitely an interesting one. I literally had my water bottle on my table in front of the Tick ban, so I didn't see it until now. But yeah, that's a bit of an odd one. Not sure how that's going to be working out. I mean, pretty much just going to be impacting Bounty, which is just usually not ideal with your bans. Ideally, you want them to cover as many of the maps as possible, right? And just the one? I'm not sure, but overall, I feel like Clash are in a pretty good place after this draft, considering they get both Bounty and Hot Zone, which are really good game modes for them. And I mean, I said Brawl just because it's their most iconic mode and just a mode where they do tend to be very dominant. But I do feel like it's also a game mode where underdogs tend to thrive sometimes as well, because everyone is decent in Brawl Ball, right? So we'll see how this one is going to work out. The Sprout on Yoshi, one of his more iconic picks, and a pretty decent counter against Rico, but getting tagged early on by a Piper, definitely not going according to plan here for Clash. However, we're able to pick up quite a couple of gems early on. Andre, he pumped the homemade recipe, but the angle was already not there anymore, as Lena found some cover to work with, and in the end, that's just a bit of a waste of a gadget.
Yeah, Lenane's 4 gems over his head right now, and we've also seen Chaos in a very good position up the map as well. Does get tagged up a little bit, but enough pressure to allow Lenane to pick up yet another couple of gems. 7-0 right now. Map's a little bit broken up, but Yoshi shuts off that pathway from the right. So he only has to really spam one way to try to take Melody down, and take Melody down he does. Andrew's the only one left standing, and only 1 gem in between Clash and the countdown.
So far, so good for Clash. Final gem gonna be picked up now as the countdown starts. John trying to get his next super and chain them, but not really able to find any opportunities there as Clash get a nice team wipe, and we got a bit of a celebratory spin on both sides. Frutas, they seem happy to take that loss. Just want to show some nice dance moves in the mid area as the countdown hits to an end, and Clash secure the first game. Pretty decent first game from Clash. I feel like it was one of those games where it wasn't like extremely dominant in the sense that there wasn't like, you know, constant team wipes in favor of Clash, but they got, I think, every single gem pretty much that spawned went to them. So to that extent, they were able to capitalize a lot more on the objective, and that's how you win games in the end, you know. So pretty good stuff, and in the end, a pretty dominant game to that aspect. You can't really do much if you don't manage to pick up any gems. I'm pretty sure they had all 10 gems, and just Frutas didn't really get to do anything in that game.
Yeah, I mean, only a couple of ambush shots from Piper and a Gene's going to go down, so you know, completely a bit of a dominant game, and honestly, I feel like maybe we will have a bit of a sweep on our hands once more, but looking at this map now, though, we're seeing the Piper paired with a couple of tanks in Mortis and Rose, and then we're seeing Max with the Sandy and Mortis on the other side of things. Lenane early on getting a pickup, and he's just completely walking over him at this point. The heals from the star power come in as well, and Chaos in an aggressive position once more gets Andrew very low. No takedown just yet, though, but a Sandstorm's going to provide them a bit of cover and allow them to get up that map and take a bit of this control back from Clash for, you know, the first time since this actual match started.
Did Lenan just avoid the stun by dashing through the Sandy? I think he did.
I didn't catch that.
I think he did. I think that the Sandy popped the stun at, like, literally as Lenan moved through him. Because he obviously couldn't auto-aim, right? Because it's in a bush, so he wanted to pre-fire it. But that was pretty cool, I think. I mean, maybe it wasn't even a stun, and then it was just, you know, pretty basic. But countdown for Clash. And did the Piper just jump in enemy lines there? Yashi, everything all right up there? And it doesn't seem like it as he goes down, but still... just about enough gems now to get another countdown started. IKO's not going to be going down anytime soon with that super. Lena going in aggressively. Still alive for now. Might end up going down there, but they're not able to catch him. And that should be Clash securing that game. Lena surviving just with 44 HP. I'm pretty sure he just walked in the Sandstorm as well to get as low HP as he could towards the end. But that is going to be a 2-0 for that first set. Yeah, I feel like if you look at those game modes, Gem Grab is going to be the weakest one for Clash. And they look nothing even close to weak in that first set. Both games extremely dominant. Yeah, that's a bit of a warning sign. It was the pick from Frutas as well, I believe. So now it's Bounty. And then even if miraculously Frutas are able to take Bounty, you have Hot Zone afterwards, which is... maybe the best mode for Clash. So yeah, this is not gonna be an easy day for Frutas. I mean, they took down Tribe, and I'm sure they're very proud and happy about that result. But this quarterfinal, I just don't really see a way out here. It's gonna be very, very tough.
Yeah, I feel like maybe we do have another sweep on our hands here if Clash play it right with the right comps and everything. I mean, it's definitely a bit of an uphill climb for Frutas at this point. They've got two of Clash's best game modes, as you do mention, in Bounty and Hot Zone still to go. So even if they do miraculously manage to take this dry season set, they've got Ring of Fire waiting for them at the end, which, you know, if I can recall, it might even be their best Hot Zone map on top of it too. So, I mean, definitely a worrying situation for Frutas, but I mean... I'm sure they're just going to be more than happy to have beaten Tribe in the position that they did.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because, you know, if you take down a team like Tribe, you would expect them to, you know, fight maybe a little bit harder here against Clash as well, or at least be a little bit more convincing and show some signs of life. So far, not really been the case. Now, maybe Bounty is where they will shine. It could be. That's the thing as well. You know, with the bans we've seen, it's definitely not really usual, right? You're not expecting to play dry season without a tick. You pretty much always end up seeing a tick, except if you really go for some tanks or something like that. So maybe something interesting can happen there. And comp-wise, it's definitely interesting here from Clash. Going for the Bo, Carl, and Penny. 3 off-meta picks. Bo, probably the most meta ones of the 3, and I think that goes a long way in saying how off-meta this comp is.
Yeah, I mean, Bo isn't even as good as he was at the certain point of the skin being a bit bugged. But I mean, they've got a turret early on, which can go a really, really long way, and obviously the Carl did come in just to secure that first bolt against near enough any other brawler. So just trying to get the supers on the left-hand side now as Penny is in a comfortable position, sitting there nice and tightly with her super. Bo Mine's thrown down, and the bounce from Lenane will take out his totem, and there you go, extended lead once more by Clash, and they're sitting quite comfortably behind these walls.
I mean, this is pretty disgusting from Clash, because I feel like there's definitely a bit of a troll element to this comp. Like, you can't just say it's off-meta, like, it's definitely provocative as well, you know? But it's been working out just fine for them so far. I mean, 5-0 lead. I don't really think they're going to be complaining here. And so far, Frutas have been struggling to find any control. Now, that super is going to be opening up the walls a little bit on the right-hand side. But even then, there's still a lot of work to do here before they can really achieve anything this game. And I just don't really see anything happening just yet. Maybe we'll see a clutch Leon super coming in, but so far it's been very quiet on the side of FA Frutas.
Yeah, really solid gadget there from Chaos as well. Clearly expecting the Leon to be coming close to him, so he did just pop that gadget to ensure. Looks like GA might be falling down here. John pops his super and doesn't take the final shot to take him down, so therefore just extending the lead in favor of Clash. And they're going to be taken to match point here, undisputed in this win. 0 takedowns for FA Frutas, which honestly against that comp is kind of expected, and it even, you know, kind of blew my mind how strong that comp actually was.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Penny and Bo are playable on this map. I feel like Carl is especially the brawler that I just don't really see too much of a point here. I mean, picking up the blue star was a gadget is obviously nice. You know, you can just flying hook your way to that blue star. But besides that, I do feel like it struggles quite a bit on a map like this. Like, you can't really put any pressure. You know what I mean? You're going to be out of range of most of your opponents, and don't have the DPS either to take down most of them quickly enough. So, I don't know, man. I feel like that was a bit of a statement from Clash, winning so convincingly with such a comp. It's scary for Frutas for sure, and you know what? I would not even be surprised if the comp from Clash gets even wilder in this next game, because now they have all the confidence in the world. You know, they feel like this match is going to be over really soon anyways. But there's only one way to find out what they go for. Frutas maybe might be trying to surprise us as well. No, actually not too much of a surprise from Clash here, as they go for Leon Piper and Sprout. Similar matchup on the side of Frutas, just going to be bringing in the Bell extra. So 2 sharpshooters, which is not going to be easy to play, especially since iChaos on the Sprout might have some nice opportunities to shine. We'll see. Blue Star picked up by Clash, so they start off with the lead.
Lenane holding his homemade recipes quite tightly, not throwing them out just yet. A couple of kills maybe could be secured there if he had been a bit more ambitious with them, but he's sitting quite nice and tight in this little pocket, and he does get a tap onto Andre. Risky scenario for him now, though, as he does receive a shot from the Bell himself. Still manages to stay up, though. He able to pick up his super once more, and just keep nice and tight in that bush. Chaos trying to aggress and take down this lollipop drop, but not able to do it just yet. Just staying behind these walls to keep John from securing that super, and that's where Chaos is really going to be a bit susceptible.
Yeah, so far Clash not taking too many risks. FA Frutas are going to be the one, though, that slowly need to engage a little bit more. But that mid area is the scary part, right? That's the part you don't really want to cross unless you have to, as there's a lot less cover to work with, and you're going to be a lot more exposed and likely to get shut down before you can even get to the bottom side of the map. 25 seconds left and still no kills. But eventually Frutas need to make a move, otherwise it's going to be the end of this match.
Yeah, you can see they're just waiting for that Leon super, but it just never seems to be coming, and even with those connections onto Lenane, still doesn't have it. Guille sitting nice and tight with his, is going to pop it there, but it's going to be connected on, and that's a little bit worrying. Invisi-Heal is going to bring him to a nice amount of HP. John gets scouted out, and the jump from Lenane comes at the perfect time, but the blue star goes to FA Frutas, and they are fighting back.
All right. Interesting. I mean, a little bit of luck, not gonna lie. Very fortunate as well that the blue star was on the Lena that ended up going down, because in the end it was just 1 kill each, right, in this entire game. But I guess they'll be happy to take it. Maybe this is how they won against Tribe. Maybe this is how they won against Tribe. Well, they'll need plenty more of those sort of games. I wouldn't, you know, this is a clutch though. You know what I'm saying? This is the kind of games where you get a little bit of luck on your side, and you get some timings that go your way. and you clutch up. I mean, obviously, you know, they did a great job at that, but can you consistently do that for this next game and then the next set? I'm not sure, because they were definitely the team that was on the backside for the entire game, with Clash just being a lot more dominant control-wise, Clash being more aggressive as well, despite having the blue star pretty much from the get-go. So, yeah, in an interesting turn of events here, Frutas do take the game, but I'm not sure if that's endangering Clash just yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, one more game for Frutas and it's going to tie the entire best of 3 up. So, I mean, you know, it is slightly endangering them. They do have Hot Zone waiting for them next, which obviously is quite a good game mode for Clash. So, even if they do lose this, they still feel like they're going to be decently confident about taking the entire series. But Frutas putting themselves in a position that they do want to be in. They want to be able to at least take this to the final set and, you know, show their worth. And I feel like that's exactly what they did in that game. They were definitely the more patient team, but clearly patience paid off there in the last few seconds, as they did get the perfect trade to take. And you can call it luck, or you can call it, you know, a calculated risk that he did choose to take. And that's what I'll go for. I'll go for the calculated risk and say that he did kind of work out what was going to happen.
All right, well, let's see how this goes. As right now we have, this is a mirror matchup. I think it is not. No, never mind. I am blind, Trav. I am blind.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to work out at the same time as you were as well, so I'm not
It's so hard when they're invisible, you know? It's so hard to tell.
I was going to say it's difficult to tell as well, considering one of them was coming out the spawn literally just as the game started. So, I mean, that's also an factor to it. But Clash, in a more convincing lead than last time, do have a bit of space to work with as the blue stars on Lenane's head. And even if Chaos goes down at this point, it's still going to be a lead to them. So, a bit more room for the conscience to take care of now. John taking some heavy shots on the left, though. But did heal up. An ambush with a homemade recipe does take him extremely low, though. Wall from Chaos is going to be a perfect time, I will say. And homemade recipe connects with the wall. Andre has to rethink his strategy on that. He has a really early super, I will say. You don't usually see a Leon with super this early on. It usually takes some long-range peppering shots for near enough the whole game to get it.
The thing, though, is that you need to capitalize on those supers. As you said, it's going to be harder to get on those maps. But this is a bit of an interesting situation for John. He is locked in, and there's just no way out there. Absolutely no way out. Maybe if his Piper teammate could have gotten a super off, that could have worked, but it's very much going to be Clash in the lead by 6 stars and the blue star. John just sitting in that bush comfortably, but ends up going down to Lena up close. Now just using his super very well. Ends up, yeah, there's just no chance, is there? No chance here for Frutas. Clash make it work. And sure, a little bit of a stain. I feel like, you know, this match could have been a 4-0. But I think they'll be happy just to take the win, proceed to the semifinals. And Frutas, unfortunately, this will be the end of their run. I think they're still going to be happy about their day. I mean, you know, they take a match against Tribe EU, and they take a game against a Clash. Things could be a lot worse for them.
Yeah, I'd like to take a second as well to just realize how fast and reactive Lenane was on that super when the Leon was just chilling in his bush and started shooting at him. And even with it wasn't even a couple of ammo, it was literally a couple of the pellets out of an ammo slot that he was able to react in time for. So really nice plays from him. However, the bracket once more is ready to see who has progressed through the quarterfinals so far. And so far, it's literally just Clash. It's just Clash who has moved on. So we will be watching one more quarterfinal, and the rest of the team should have joined them by that time. If not, I feel like maybe it's a little bit worrying.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, Na'Vi versus BD on the left side of the bracket. SK versus Old Stars. Not sure who is Old Stars. Who did they win against? They won against FA Verified. Okay, I mean, not an impossible matchup. I'm looking forward to meeting those guys. Hopefully, we'll get to watch them at some point. Which, if we don't watch them in the quarters, might be unlikely since they're facing SK Gaming. But we'll see. Big Clan versus Totem. Definitely an interesting match. I mean, Big is definitely not in the best of places. But, on the other hand, you know, they haven't had to focus on too many events, and notably BSC lately, so maybe they are coming in a little more prepared for this. We'll see. I mean, we definitely have some really decent teams all around. Na'Vi versus BD is what we'll be getting here for our second quarterfinal. And we have our draft already. Okay, Gem Grab and Howard Mine are going to be picked by Blood Diamond. Pibble Dreams in Brawl, as well as Bounty on Dry Season are the maps of choice for Na'Vi. And then we end up having Brock and Bell bans for Na'Vi, Ash and Mortis for BD. Both teams banning some very different stuff. A lot of sharpshooters out of the way here for Na'Vi, as Blood Diamond decided to remove some of those more aggressive brawlers. So yeah, pretty fair across the board. I feel like there are some pretty strong brawlers out of the picture as well. I'm not complaining.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think it's quite wise from Navi to try and get a couple of those sharpshooters out of the way, especially, you know, when you got Javi and Rafa on one side of this matchup, to seem to thrive when the sharpshooters are available. And Brock and Bell are two of their preferred picks. Blood Diamond getting out of the way though. The Ash and the Mortis clearly don't want to be taking the aggressive plays against them. So probably quite a good mix of brawlers to get out of the mix too. But Hard Rock Mine coming up first. I will say, you know, the Rico, I've seen a lot of Rico being played from Blood Diamond recently, and it's been extremely good. But we've seen Navi play this map, and they did play it very, very convincingly.
Yeah, that's very true. They looked really, really good on it. But now, with an opponent like Blood Diamond that have been popping off lately more than ever, they were, this entire year, they were a team that could beat any top team. They wouldn't do it consistently, but we know they were capable of doing it, especially in a best-of-3 format. But now lately, it feels like it's getting more and more consistent. And I mean, regarding the BSC, for example, the Blood Diamond is one of the teams I have my eyes on the most for 2022, because I feel like they could absolutely qualify. I think they have the level for it 100%. Did they have the level, you know, earlier in the year when they stood a chance? Probably not, but I don't know. It's a team I really have my eyes on, and I feel like right now they're looking really good, and they could definitely take down Na'Vi in a best-of-3 here. We'll see how this works out. I'm not even sure if Blood Diamond would be really that much of an underdog facing Na'Vi. I'm talking about them as if they were, but probably a little bit, but really not from afar. It's a pretty decent match here.
I was going to say, in my eyes, I feel like maybe Navi are the underdogs in this one. I've seen a lot of BD recently beating Navi in a few different tournaments. So, yeah, it definitely can go. I feel maybe a 50-50 match at this point. Black's going to be playing the Max and picking up a couple of early gems, taking some heavy fire from Alex, though. Got to be a little bit worried about that one. Rafa trying to aggress up this map. Oh, that was extremely late bouncy castle, but it paid off regardless. And then they falling very low. A super from Rafa's going to be missed. Does take out Cubic after picking up that power up, and picks up another one too. Ultimate value from him and all the control in the world for BD.
Alright, a really good start so far from Blood Diamond, as Na'Vi are trying to retake some sort of mid control. So far not really working out too well. Diamond on 7 gems as well. Don't need a whole lot more to close this one out here. Alex goes down to Javi. And MMA going a little bit more aggressive. Gonna try to take some more aggressive positioning. However, countdown starts. And now Na'Vi, they need to go on the hunt, and their prey is gonna be that Max. Can they take him down? Doesn't seem like it, as we get a team wipe. And Blood Diamond, they secure game number 1. And honestly, you may very much be right. I was thinking to phrase it as well, as in Blood Diamond, you know, I mean, Na'Vi could be the underdog as well. I wasn't sure if I would quite go that far, but so far from that first game, I think you definitely might be right here, Trav. Blood Diamond looked really hot, and Na'Vi, they just didn't really know how to react to it.
Yeah, I was going to say, Blinken, you might have missed it at that point. BD near enough walked over them in that. Rafa played so well in that Rico. You see him getting kill after kill after kill in the kill feed, and I will say all the players on BD seem to be completely on point during that game. Javi on the Sandy and the Max. You know, if you can carry 10 gems as a Max and not really take too much damage from the opposing players, you're playing it perfectly. So clearly he's done a really good job of that, and a lovely start for Blood Diamond at that as well. So Navi definitely need to pick up their game and maybe swap the comp around a little bit. I wasn't too much of a fan of the Roughs, and I feel like it near enough did nothing.
Yeah, no, that's a very fair point. I mean, you know, Ruffs is a bit more of a long-term investment, right? Earlier in the game, it's gonna struggle quite a bit, and it's not the easiest to be paying off. And it compensates later on as you get more and more of those supply drops, more and more of those buffs for your teammates and yourself. Problem is, if you don't get to late game, then yeah, it's not really going to be working out too much. And maybe Na'Vi, if they, you know, to execute that strategy better, would have been to take a little bit less of a risk earlier on, but also hold their ground a little firmer, you know. And then maybe we've gone long enough in that game and with enough buffs going through that they could overtake their opponents. Here, it just, I don't remember seeing anyone being buffed up and living for more than a couple of seconds. And that says a lot, especially considering there were barely any buffs going down in the first place. So a bit of a tough first game here for Na'Vi. Going to be trying to pick up the pieces here with a very similar comp. Might even end up being the mirror matchup. Almost is. The Sandy and the Leons will be making the difference here. What isn't different is that early control from Blood Diamond, as it's been going pretty well so far. MMA trying to engage onto Black Sea, but not really able to connect any shells just yet.
Oh, double stun from Javi. Doesn't get too much value out of it in the long run, but I mean, all he's doing is just delaying the opposing players so Black Sea can pick up gem after gem, and it's working perfectly. He doesn't get the speed, so he's not able to stay up there, but if you see at the other side, Rafa's just completely dominating MMA as well, and he's forcing a pinch to come across from Alex, which should allow Javi to come and slot back in nicely onto his side. Super is going to connect onto Cubic a little bit too, and there you go. Javi is already back up the map. Only 6 gems in the bank though, which has allowed Navi to get a couple along the way. So, I mean, they're just going to be looking to try and keep the control that they've managed to muster up and attempt to bring this game back into their hands. But a super from Javi is going to near enough negate all the value and kills they just got.
8 gems for Blood Diamond. Getting dangerously close to the countdown. And Na'Vi have been pretty much invisible so far, which would be a good thing for Leon, to be fair, but he hasn't been the most invisible, at least not, you know, from a literal standpoint. More control from Na'Vi, but Blood Diamond, they get that 10th gem, and that's the thing, when you have such a big lead, at some point, there's going to be one of the gems that spawn on your side that you have access to quite easily, and this is that point. Blood Diamond with the countdown. Na'Vi, the only solution is to take down Black Sea, and that's just not going to be happening at this point. Blood Diamond with a pretty clean first set. Definitely not as dominant as the previous matches we've had, especially for Hard Rock Mine, but still very much with ease.
Yeah, you've taken the words right out of my mouth there. I was about to say, it definitely wasn't as dominant as the first game, but they were definitely still very much in control of the outcome. They just seem to be, you know, always keeping control of the grey area of the map. You know, once they've worked up that 5-gem lead, even if Navi do end up picking up the gems that spawn on their side, then, you know, who's going to care if BD are able to just secure the ones that spawn on theirs? And that's pretty much exactly what happened. The Max can walk forward the tiniest bit and be able to retreat without going down. And, you know, it paid off. Blood Diamond with a lovely 2-0 in the first set, moving on to Pinball Dreams, I believe it is. The first time we've actually seen Brawl Ball today, which is a bit of an unusual one at that, so maybe Pinball Dreams hasn't slotted into the competitive map pool as well as people would have hoped.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. I mean, I've been casting a little bit less, so that's why I said earlier as well, like, I'm not 100% sure of what to expect. I feel like some brawlers are no-brainers, or at least seem viable enough. But I'm really looking forward to see a lot more of this map, as I think it's a pretty decent map. I think there's quite a couple of possibilities, and there are sometimes brawlers that do shine that you don't see as much on some other maps. But I'm really curious. I feel like Rico does pretty decent on the map. I think that Spike can find a lot of value as well, and obviously any long-range brawler mid just does the job as well, depending on what fits your playstyle and your comp too. Did I miss any of the main brawlers for this map?
I was going to say, you know, the Spike's definitely a really good lane, but I feel like Barley and Stu are also really, really strong, and I feel like that they've been coming in through quite a bit, because, You know, it's really difficult to counter Spike on this map, but the Barley is the one brawler who's going to be able to do it convincingly near enough every single time they do come up the map. So, I mean, if you do end up playing that Spike against Barley, you need to get the matchups right, and that's where the real teams will come into play, who's got the right amount of synergy to be able to do that simultaneously and make it so a flawless thing, where it really doesn't affect the greater control they have of the map. So, you know, I'd really like to see some Stew coming in as well. Whether it will or not, I'm not too sure, but also, just because of the Barley, Griff with that gadget has been slotting in a fair amount too.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. I mean, I could see Barley working here very, very well, for sure. You know, especially with the way those lanes work. It's probably a little more defensive, but honestly, even in offense, it can do very well. You will struggle a little bit more to take more of an aggressive position, but if you manage to get it and you're near that goal area, because of the amount of walls you have around there, you can do a lot of work. You can do a lot of work for sure. We'll find out soon enough what they go for. So far, it's been a bit of a nightmare quarterfinal for Na'Vi. Haven't really been able to find much at all in Gem Grab. Had some opportunities here and there, but really not all that much. Let's see here. We do see some Spike action, but also those Barleys you mentioned, the Sue as well on Rafa, but then mid it's going to be more long range as we have the B versus Byron. Definitely an interesting matchup over there.
My predictions are completely popping off today, I'm telling you. I'm getting near enough everything right. But yeah, overall, I'm really liking the control that the BD is showing so far. A big shot has been acquired by Cube, so Black's got to be a little bit scared of that one. Doesn't connect either of them, and he gets a tap in return to Javi dominating MMA on that lane, and that's probably the lane that you should be winning if you're MMA. Javi taking a shot onto Alex too, doesn't have the fertilizer, so he should drop down also, but Navi just holding on to that little bit of thread they've been given and trying to survive this out. MMA should fall once more, but retreating all the way into the goal mouth, so he doesn't end up going down. Breakthrough coming in from Rafa and some shots to follow it up, but a Herbal Tonic should negate the damage he has just done. Javi rotating around to get back onto Alex, and he should get a lot of value out of it too with a super into the goal. Cubic's looking extremely low, and Blacksy pushing aggressive for it. The heals are just countering each other out at this moment though, and Navi are going to live to fight another day, not take a goal, and relieve a bit of this pressure.
It was pretty close, all things considered, though. Like, it could really have ended up very badly early on here for Navi already, but at last they gained some control and now some opportunities to maybe find an opening. Was the ball that far away though? It's not gonna be an easy task. Might they be waiting out for overtime already? Unless they find a big opening, because they're playing it really, really passively.
Yeah, it kind of seems that way. Rafa trying to go on the aggressive now though, and Alex taking low because of it. The breakthrough is there, but the auto aim onto that putting Molasses is going to take a bit of his ammo out of the way. Alex looking extremely low after being tapped by the Byron, and Cubic now all on his own trying to relieve this pressure once more, taking half health himself, and Javi is literally in their spawn, causing a lot of pressure for them as well, and still pinching back. Cubic has secured his big shot, connects onto Rafa, and now Javi's just chilling here all alone, and the overtime isn't going to be as favorable for BD as it is Navi.
Yeah, absolutely so. I mean, Spike is definitely going to have some really great opportunities. I think Byron does really, really well in overtime because you can heal your teammates pretty much everywhere. But look at that, charge shot goes in straight up as Navi finally pick up a game. I would say it still felt like Blood Diamond were leading the reins just a little bit more in this game, as they were for the most part more aggressive and had more opportunities to score until overtime. But in the end, a win is a win, and Navi, they definitely needed a win right here, right now. So they do so successfully, and they will be, you know, slowing down that momentum from Blood Diamond. It still wasn't the most convincing game on their end. I feel like they had a formidable defense, but you do need a little bit more offense, because relying on overtime is a bit of a scary game.
Yeah, I will say Blood Diamond, if they just pushed that little bit harder at certain points in the game, they definitely could have taken a goal. They clearly just didn't want to over-aggress, but because of that, they were kind of a bit in between the 50-50, and you've either got to fully defend and keep the control which you have, or just fully commit, and they did neither. So a couple of their teammates went down, and then all pressure got relieved just before the overtime, and with a B and a Spike with Curveball, you're going to struggle quite a bit in the overtime against that.
Yeah, no, that's a very fair point. I mean, I feel like overtime could still have gone the way of Blood Diamond, but Na'Vi just did such a good job at pushing immediately and not giving them any space as overtime came in, that they didn't really have time to set anything up, to have some supers available, all that sort of stuff that you really want for overtime. So just the right decision from Na'Vi, and being able to capitalize a lot more off that overtime. And as you mentioned, just having the better comp for it. And it did feel like they were happy to wait for overtime for a while. Pretty much as soon as they got out of that very defensive position, they just took a little bit of mid control and then played just as defensively from there. So an interesting decision that did pay off. But once again, I feel like relying on overtime to come in is a bit of a risky game, because you don't know if you'll even get to overtime. So yeah, I'm not sure. I feel like comp changes on both sides wouldn't be the wildest to be coming true here.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, BD just have to remove that stew. It just didn't do enough in those situations where they could have capitalized as much as, you know, a spike super would to be thrown in the mix and slow them all down, deal the damage as well. And, you know, I really did like the Byron, even though they haven't got the things that you need to be healing in those aggressive positions like you would with a tankier comp. It still worked very, very well against the likes of the B and also the Barley. When he did try and aggress a little bit, he was able to shut it down and back him up quite nicely. So I do really like the way that the Byron was playing that, but I mean, you can't really ever say no to a B when it comes to the overtime. They just needed to get it done sooner.
Yeah, no, very fair points across the board, Trav. Well, let's see how it goes, and we see a sweet double tank and Byron on the sides of Na'Vi. Blood Diamond going for something a little bit more old school with some Max and Sandy action, but so far it's looking pretty sweet for Na'Vi. They're pushing forward. MMA has the stun as well, and surely that is going to be goal number 1 already. Na'Vi kicking things off strongly here once more.
Yeah, it is indeed looking very good for them so far, but I mean, it should be that way with the tankier and heal comps early on, and then the opposing teams start to come back a little bit more. But these heals with MMA might be a little bit too much for their handle. They do choose to back off a little bit, and BD now taking control of the greater portion of the map, which is going to be extremely good for them. But the splash is there, and so is the takedown onto Rafa. Javi throwing an aggressive super, and Alex going to be completely missing that super. I'm not sure what the wall did to him, but he clearly wanted a bit of revenge.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he actually thought that he might be able to stun him through that wall and then you know, walk around and get the kill, but that still feels like a bit of a stretch and making the situation more complicated than it has to be. However, Blood Diamond, they're not giving up control just yet. I like how much they try to keep that aggression up. Thing is, taking down Na'Vi here and even getting towards that ball is going to be an absolute nightmare. Alex was a great stun onto Black Sea. That has to be a kill, almost becomes a double. And in fact, it might as well have been, as in the end, you do end up having that full HP MMA versus a very low HP Javi. And that should slow things down a little bit as Blood Diamond. They're still trying to find a gap in that defense, but far from being able to so far.
Yeah, you can see what he was trying to do there, super the ball back to Rafa and try to get control of it that way, but it just remains in this corner for Na'Vi, which is a difficult situation for BD to do anything in whatsoever. Because, I mean, they've just got the tanks just to be able to defend it so well. Blacksea needs to make something happen relatively soon, the super from Javi, but a nice super to counteract it from Alex, and he follows it up as well, and after dashing into that wall, he did have a lot of making up to do, and he has done just that. Then move the ball to the other corner, and it's looking like the end of this set for BD, and a set 3 is going to be required to decide this one.
Alright, 4 more seconds, and this is gonna be GG's for this game and this set as Na'Vi pick it up, tie things up, and push things to set number 3. Good stuff from them, because honestly, Blood Diamond was looking so good in Gem Grab, and for the first 60% of the first game of Brawl, they were looking just as deadly as well. But Na'Vi, they were able to turn it around really nicely, and now we go into Bounty on Dry Season with quite a bit of momentum now in favor of Na'Vi. So a nice turnaround, but the question is, can they close this one out? Dry Season is a very deadly map. It can be so unforgiving and so stressful to play, but we've seen that Na'Vi are not shy to bring in those tankier comps, and Dry Season is definitely a map where you can do so.
Yeah, I mean, they're clearly not afraid of it, are they? And it showed there, but I believe that Mortis still is out of the mix, so probably won't be seeing that with the Buzz, which is the usual pairing. So, I mean, I'm still going to stick with some of the more long-range comps and feel like maybe they can do quite a good job on that. They've just got to be a little bit wary of that Buzz coming forward, because that is an extremely dangerous brawler to be faced with when you are playing the throwers along with the roughs or something. But then again, the sandbags can tank it really, really nicely.
Yeah, no, for sure. We saw it being played earlier. I don't think it worked when they did, but it can do a lot of work. I think it's a very risky decision as well to bring in, as you do have to make sure that you stay alive as long as possible to just really start having multiple of those buffs running throughout your team. So I don't know. I'm not entirely sure what they should be going for here. I mean, obviously Troyes can do the work. We mentioned as well, you know, going for the tanks, and Byron can absolutely work as well. Or Poco is a ban, right? Yeah, Navi banned Poco if I remember correctly. So that's not an option, but I still feel like Byron can do a fine enough job if you pair it up with something like a Buzz and a Daryl, or even just a Buzz and still keep a Troyer on your side. I feel like that could still do some decent work too. So we'll see. I think we could expect some risks in the comps here in this final set.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'd like to see how the tanks do fare against the double throwers on this map without the Mortis in play. I mean, Mortis is getting banned more and more recently as time goes on. People clearly seeing how strong it actually is after that passive ability got added with the Coiled Snake. So, I mean, I quite like to see it banned, but then again, it kind of opens up a few different pathways on these maps where you do expect the double throwers and shuts that off, so you are kind of forced to play something along the lines of it. But once more, we do see the double throw of Byron from Navi, and I believe it might have been them who did play it last time on this map, but from BD, the Piper, Leon, and Tick, which is definitely another pathway you can take.
All right, well, let's see who is able to make it work, as Blue Star is picked up by Rafa. That's going to be a nice opportunity for Blood Diamond to set up a bit more of a defensive stance. Rafa already has a super. That's really quick, but hasn't decided to use it just yet. We'll see. Yeah, those walls are going to be gone. That Sprout has had too much playtime uncontested with those walls. Homemade recipe is not enough for the kill, sadly, for Blood Diamond. But Black Sea forced back, and Navi with quite a lot of control so far.
Yeah, but when Black Sea does get that super eventually, I know what kind of work that he does put in when he does eventually get it, and it's kind of ruthless if you do think about it. It's just getting the super eventually that's going to really come into the mix. Still 1 star to 0 in favor of Blood Diamond, though, as we head into the last 45 seconds of this game. A connection from Cube onto Rafa playing the Piper is going to go quite a long way in terms of controllers. Now he's just going to have to wait and heal up, and that should allow MMA to push up a little bit more alongside the super. But once more, an ambush shot is connected, and a lot of heals are required from Cube.
And Navi need to find a kill. Both teams have not been able to find a single kill so far in this game. 20 seconds left, and here you go. Just had to jinx it as Blood Diamond pick up kill number 1. That's definitely not what Navi were hoping to be the first blood of this game. 5 more seconds and still not too much going on. There is a kill actually, but it is traded out in favor of Blood Diamond, and that's going to be a match point coming up next in favor of BD.
Yeah, it's at times like that when I'm holding my breath at how aggressive Black Sea's going when, you know, the lead can be changed so easily. But then, you know, an opposing player of BD does go down, and it's lucky that he did go into that aggressive situation to be able to claw the game back. Match point for BD, and honestly, from how dominant they've been in some of these games, I would say it's deserved at the moment, but you know, nothing's standing in between Navi and 2 games in a row at set from BD, so they just need to get these comps down, and I feel like maybe that was a slight issue in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, overall, just looked a lot more solid from Blood Diamond. I do like the Sprout, to be completely honest. But I think they can find so much value and definitely find more value on the side of Blood Diamond. And also just hitting their snipes. You know, once they had Blue Star, Na'Vi just kind of looked a little lost and like they were trying to wander their way around, hoping to stumble across, you know, a kill. Yeah, it just wasn't really there. It just wasn't really there. So still a pretty decent chance for Na'Vi as it's only 2 games, as you mentioned. But, you know, having that nice switch of momentum is definitely going to be helping Blood Diamond's case. And they're looking good here with the match point in their hands.
Yeah, I will say, you know, you've kind of got to take Tick as the favourable throw when a team like Clash is willing to ban it, even when another 2 maps are on the board as well. It's not just dry season. So clearly, you know, the favourable thrower, and it showed in that game as well. I will say I do really like the Sprout as well, but it just can't aggress far enough up the map without Byron having to be with it to be able to get into a favourable situation, and then you put in the Tick at risk for having no heals as well. So I feel that's maybe why the double thrower Byron comp doesn't work when you aren't in the lead, because you've got to push into an ambush Piper, a Leon who you're trying not to feed super to, and also the Tick who can, you know, spread out a lot of his mines all over the map.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll see what they decide to pick here for this match point situation. I have to say, so far I do feel like Blood Diamond have been looking a little bit better across this match, but in Brawl Ball it was so even. It was so strong from Na'Vi, and here in Bounty it was pretty even. It got really close towards the end. I mean, there was a Leon with invisibility in the enemy side of the map, which is definitely not ideal, pretty much in their spawn as well. But let's find out here. Match point for Blood Diamond. 1 game is all it takes for them to pick up this game set and match.
They've taken the B and they've predicted the buzz coming in. Great picks from Blood Diamond, but failing to get the lead off the start is really going to come back to bite them, I feel, as now they've kind of got to push into this massive radius of Alex's star power to be able to get the lead back, and that's exactly what they do. Straight away, with the click of your fingers, they do have the lead back in their hands. Tickhead thrown out from MMA now, though, and Blacksea is in Biz, which I'm not sure he's really doing much with.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Na'Vi are going to have to go on the hunt. But can they find anyone from Blood Diamond? So far it's been a bit of a struggle, and to be expected so is the lollipop drop. Will be removed eventually by MMA. And Na'Vi, though, they still haven't really been able to get even close to an opportunity yet this game. And look at that, Na'Vi finds MMA. And Blood Diamond, they widen up that lead to 4 stars to 1.
Yeah, really, really good position now. I was going to say, MMA is going to rotate over this side and easily take out those 2 turrets, but he's wiped off the face of the map within a few seconds of even trying. Alex all alone now, and I believe he did miss his super as well, so that's going to be another unfortunate circumstance for him. He's being provided his super by these 2 BD players who are in the radius, but with that Honey Molasses in the background, just stopping him from aggressing far enough to peek around this wall and get the shot off, it's not really doing too much. Another kill added to BD's ledger there, and Blacksea and Biz once more trying to get the pressure on, and this is looking like it's going to be done and dusted for me. Like, BD are just so confident right now. They're aggressing straight into the spawn with really no repercussions other than Blacksea going down. 12 seconds left, and a B in the face of a buzz is going to be quite a difficult situation for Alex to take.
Yeah, only a couple more seconds, and Na'Vi, they're nowhere near finding anything they were looking for here, as we do end up having Blood Diamond picking up the victory 2-1 in sets. It was closer than the matches we've had so far today, but it definitely was not the closest match either, as Blood Diamond looked pretty good across the board, I would say. I mean, Brawl was definitely where it was weaker, but in Gem Grab and Bounty, they really found their groove quickly and honestly very efficiently. Good stuff from Blood Diamond.
Yeah, I was going to say, though, I feel like even though Blood Diamond did lose both games in Brawl Ball, they still had some extremely dominant plays throughout. Like, the first game should have 100% gone in their favor. The second game, I mean, obviously it was just an early goal from the tanks and then a corner, which it doesn't really take too much to know that that's going to be a difficult game to claw back if they do manage to get a hold of that ball and put it in the corner. So overall, I'd say, you know, a fairly dominant performance, regardless of the scoreline being 2-1. BD looks very, very good.
Yep.
But let's take a quick look at our bracket and see what's come of those previous games.
All right, well, Clash, we saw them earlier, was a nice sweep against Frutas. We have SK Gaming, 2-0ing All Stars, and Reply Totem was a 2-0 against Big. So we'll end up having AC Milan Clash versus Blood Diamond, as well as SK Gaming versus Reply Totem. Those are your semifinals.
Yeah, only 3 games remaining, so I mean, there are going to be some quite good ones at that. From BD's performance there, I feel like they can probably rival AC Milan Clash a lot better than a few of the other teams. And then on the other side, I believe it was SK versus Totem, which is another really, really strong matchup. So, you know, 4 of the top teams in the region at the moment, 3 World's Finals teams, with the addition of Blood Diamond, who some people would argue, saying from some of the gameplay they've shown in community leagues at the moment, can rival a World Finals spot next year.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, let's find out how those semifinals go just after a couple minutes break. All right, welcome back, everyone. We are at the semi-final stage here of this second open qualifier of the season. My name is still Teddy, and his name is still Trav. SK Gaming versus Reply Totem is coming up next. And honestly, a really sweet matchup here. Two worlds qualified team, two teams with so much talent. Definitely, you know, SK Gaming being the favorite coming into a matchup like this, but we've seen Reply Totem taking them down before. They could do it again today.
Yeah, I will say Reply Totem seemed to, at a certain point in this year, seemed to be a lot of the top teams' kryptonite when it comes to playing, you know, competitive Brawl Stars. They were able to just take down, like, repeatedly AC Milan, Clash, and SK Gaming at certain points in this year, over and over again. So you've always got to be worried about that team, and they've been making the way up through competitive this year, without a doubt, to being one of the best teams right now. And at this point, I'm saying, you know, it's anybody's game to take these matches when you got the likes of Totem, Blood Diamond, SK, and Clash in the semi-finals.
Yeah, absolutely so. Absolutely so. Once again, you know, like, statistically, SK Gaming is the better team and the more likely to win. Doesn't mean that in the execution it is going to go according to plan. So, you know, we even saw way bigger upsets than that. You know, Fruita's taking down Tribe Gaming EU earlier. Definitely a much bigger upset than if Totem were to beat SK. So it's not that far-fetched, and definitely a decent possibility here. But SK Gaming, they've had quite a year, and even though I wouldn't say they're nearly as dominant as they've been, as they were a couple months back, you have to think about how consistent they've been across the entire year and how strong they've been looking. Pretty much no matter what, you can never feel like SK Gaming is the underdog of a match. I feel like they haven't been once the underdog of a match this year. That's how strong they've been, right? Even in the tougher months, they were at worst, if they're facing something like Clash, they were in a 50-50 pretty much. But I'm diverging. Let's check this out. Gem Grab is going to be a Hard Rock Mine, as Reply Totem picked that as their first mode. Hot Zone on Ring of Fire, Heist on Safe Zone are going to be the picks from SK Gaming. And then we already have the Leon ban from SK, Totem going for Ash and Brock. And then we're waiting for ban number 4 to come true on the side of SK Gaming.
Yeah, typical bans from Totem, really, with the Ash and the Brock. Just getting them out of the way nice and early on, so not having to rely on SK for doing it on the flip side of things, which they're going to be banning up next. Leon, they have already got out of the way, though, which is going to be really good on Hard Rock Mine, Ring of Fire. And they're going to be taking Bell out of the mix, which is going to be good on all 3 of those maps, so it's definitely near enough the perfect ban with this lineup.
I like the Leon ban a lot. I feel like it's a very underrated ban. We just don't see it very often. I feel like we just don't see it a lot at all. And it is a brawler that we see everywhere all the time. As long as, you know, you need to hold a position very firmly, you see Leon. And Safe Zone is probably where we won't see him at all, but on Ring of Fire and a Hard Rock Line, definitely very much playable. So I do like it. I think it's a bit of an underrated ban, and a brawler that a lot of teams should start banning a little bit more, especially when those Leon mirror matchups don't really end up going their way. So I like it. I'm content.
I really like it as well. It's a brawl that flies under the radar a lot, regardless of how strong it is, and it really it skyrocketed through the meta as soon as that lollipop drop came out, and a lot of the time it's still, you know, ignored when it comes to the banning process, and I feel like it's one of those brawlers that should be banned near enough every single game, possibly even over the Mortis quite a lot, which clearly it wasn't here, as I feel like that's probably a bit of a usual ban from either one of these teams, but I mean, they both are extremely good Mortises on either team, so I mean, maybe not, but I really do like the Leon ban, as you said, just emphasizing that a bit more, because it just flies under the radar so much nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's one of those brawlers that completely changes how the game is played. Because sure, you can think it's very small zone and all that sort of stuff, but in the end, you can provide so much help to either yourself or your teammates or both. It's really interesting how you can deny that much positioning or information rather from your opponents. So I like the ban. I think it's one of the more underrated ban, kind of similar to what Gene was a while back, you know, where it was being played all the time, but it just somehow wasn't really getting banned much, if ever. So yeah, interesting there. The rest of the bans are a lot more classic. I feel like those are pretty much just the standard meta brawlers that people like to ban at the moment, and they just make a lot of sense. They cover a lot of ground, but yeah, that's it for the most part. Totem, let me think real quick. Regarding the mode ban and pick, I think it's pretty fair. I mean, no matter what, you're going to be struggling against SK Gaming. They're just... They might be the one team that is the most consistent across all game modes. I feel like SK just doesn't really have a weak mode. They have great modes and good modes. Just no real weaknesses at all. At least not from where I look.
Yeah, as I say, clearly Totem have a bit of a different view on their gem grab ability as the one they do pick. I'm not sure if that's just them feeling confident with that, or whether SK are just not as quite switched on about it. I haven't really thought of, you know, gem grab being Reply Totem's breakout mode before, so I'm guessing they just kind of have a hunch they'll be able to take they'll be able to take it over SK. So you know, a possibility of that, but then again, I mean, it's just depending on what brawlers are really going to be played, and with the Rico, possibly like a Sandy or a Sprout, and then, you know, Piper, Max in the mid, something like that. It's not something that you can rule out for Totem, as I feel like when it comes to max comps, they're usually on top of things.
Yeah, no, that's a very fair point. I mean, overall, this matchup, I think, is going to be favorable for SK. I'm saying I think, but I feel like for the most part, it should be agreed upon, you know, that SK is coming in as a favorite, but it's a slight favorite. And Totem, that's how I really like to describe them, and I feel like I haven't said my bit in a while, but they're fairly inconsistent, but sometimes also in a good way, as in they can win matches that they're on paper not supposed to win too often, and they make it work. Then there are matchups that it feels like they should be winning them very consistently, and they don't either. So really fell in love with this team this year. I feel like they always provide something very exciting, and that no matter the matchup, you have a match. You know, you have a fun match that could go either way, and that's the volatility that I've been really appreciating with Totem. And we've seen that pay off time and time again against teams like, as you mentioned, Clash or even SK. So it's happened before, could definitely happen again here. But I think getting Hard Work Mine is going to be a big deal, since it's their map pick as well. So I'm assuming they should be fairly comfortable with it. And Hot Zone and Heist are just really good modes for SK overall, and a bit of a scary couple of maps to face them specifically as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be a little bit worried for Totem, even if it does go to that third one. I feel like they kind of need to clean this up in the second, because Safe Zone, in my opinion, has been... You know, I always think of SK when I think of Safe Zone. They're the ones who have got to have created the Max, BB, and Poco comp. They're the ones who are always really on point with their Piper and their long-range gameplay on that map. So, I mean, it's going to be worrying if it does go that far. As you said, Totem need to get this first one under wraps. End of, otherwise it's going to be an extremely worrying situation for them heading on to the Ring of Fire, which clearly SK are feeling quite confident on, because that is the mode that they have picked, and leaving Safe Zone till the end should just be slotted on by the randomness is also going to be favourable for SK too. So yeah, I mean, Totem needs to come out swinging, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think so too. And you know, Totem is also one of those teams that does ride on momentum a lot. Like, when they're hot and they get the ball rolling, they're able to just get that snowball effect and keep it up and overwhelm their opponents. SK Gaming, they're not a team that gets affected by it too much, but they're also not a team that utilizes it too much either. They're very, very ice cold, I feel like, you know. No matter what, they stand a really good chance in the game, whether they've lost the 5-1s before or just got interrupted, whatever not, they're always going to be quite hot. But Totem, I feel like they do need to get that great start, as you mentioned, as well, and yeah, try to get in the mental headspace as well, you know, of that you need to take down SK, because SK, man, I feel like they've had such little of those matches that they should win, and they did somehow manage to lose against a team of the caliber of Totem, you know. So it's a tough matchup for sure for Totem here in the semis, but we've said it a couple of times already. They've taken down SK in the past. Today, maybe is the day where they do it again.
So regardless of the outcome here, I think both teams are going to be relatively happy about securing the points that they have. Getting to the semi-finals is going to get yourself some good points on the board, especially if you're SK, because they did really, really well last week as well. I believe they got to the finals, and I think it was against AC Milan Clash that they did have to play against. And, you know, both of those teams making it here once more puts them in a very good place for getting to those playoffs, especially because a few of the teams who did make it this far haven't made it this far last week, haven't made it this far this week, which, you know, creates that big gap in between them.
Yeah, for sure. I'm curious to see them play again. I feel like for me it's been a while since I've seen them play against each other. I honestly wouldn't remember when, but definitely a couple weeks at least. So I'm excited. I really like both teams, and I feel like they are such different teams as well. And whether it's their play style and the brawlers that they prefer, so it's gonna be a very rich matchup in what both teams are willing to offer. So looking forward to it. Still taking a little bit before they get started, but we should be getting there soon enough. Comp-wise, we haven't seen any heist yet, because we've discussed comps and all that stuff for most of the maps we've seen so far, right? But heist has been absent so far, either banned or was a turret set that we didn't get to. Safe zone. I feel like there are a couple of brawlers that have been shining here particularly. I think Rico has been doing really well, right? Nani as well. And you can go for some sharpshooters or something like a Colt. I see you on the fence here for now. When I said Nani, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've watched, I think it's Navi who usually bring that in quite a lot, and it just never seems to work on this map. Kaboom Canyon, it was really, really good, but on this one, it just never seems to work. You know, every time I've watched it, it's failed to win. I literally, I'm a huge advocate, obviously with Bell out of the mix. I'm thinking, you know, you're going to go for the Colt, the Rico, and the Piper in the mid. I feel like that's just, you know, the stable meta that people go on this map and rarely veer away from it, and if they do, it's because they go to the Max BB and Poco comp.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. Is it still being played heavily, the Max Poco BB?
I mean, I don't think it is as much, because obviously the Rico did slot in fairly recently, so I don't think it's been played as much, but get that out of your head, because here we have the first game of Hard Rock Mine, and we're seeing something completely different that we haven't really seen today come out from SK in the Stew and also the 8-bit, which has definitely fallen off a bit recently, so I'm excited to see how they're going to be able to bring this one out and resolve it.
Yeah, it's a really interesting comp. I mean, 8-bit is just a brawler where I almost just expect to see a Byron Wizard at this point. I feel like I've seen that so often in the last couple of weeks or last couple of months even. But here it's just going to be with this Stu and the Rico, and two brawlers that can do a terrific job at holding their lane. I mean, Stu can be an absolute nightmare for that Sprout. And so far, Totem are playing very respectful. I mean, they did definitely lose a couple of players here and there that warrants losing so much control, but they've been struggling to really take it back, and Skyrix has been able to pick up gem after gem, just 3 away from the countdown.
Still unable to pick up his super though, which is the main thing that he does need. Super available for Jeton now, but Bounce Castle's not going to go off in time, which means that Mario is going to fall. Semantic needs to aggress, but he just can't, keeps on getting shut short. And Skyrix still without a super is very, very worrying, especially if Soldier Brez can get this speed turret from the Stew down, which he does do quite nicely. Jeton baits out that Bouncy Castle as he knows that he's going to pop it when he's got his super in hand. One more gem required, and Skyrix just going to wait it out a little bit, wait for that one to spawn, but with a pickup onto the Piper, it opens up a world of room for Skyrix, who now is in a very tough position, but super couldn't have come at a better time during that game.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll be able to survive, and SK Gaming pick up the first game pretty convincingly. I feel like it could have been even more dominant, but I think they did a fair enough job here. I mean, it looked still pretty at ease, not too much pressure there. Totem are gonna have to mix things up. Not entirely sure what the move is. I think maybe just matching that stew instead of the sprout could actually be a pretty decent option here for Totem. Obviously, as a sprout, when you are facing a stew on your lane, it's going to be a nightmare. Pretty much no matter what. As soon as he gets one super, he can just get closer and closer or dodge your shots so easily. A bit of a nightmare, but I think either go for the mirror matchup or try to bring something different in the mix. But keeping the sprout in seems a little too riskier for Totem.
I was gonna say, you just got to kind of get in the position where you're not going to feed them a super at all, or just, you know, be able to deal with it when it does, which is, you know, next to impossible. So, I mean, I definitely agree with the fact that the Sprout kind of needs to go, or you need to just stick it on the Rico and get the Rico onto the Stew, which is, you know, is definitely a better option in my opinion. And if they'd done that, it probably could have paid off quite nicely, yeah. But I mean, they just didn't swap. They just kept on sending the Sprout over and over again onto Semantic, who is literally probably one of the best stews in the game as it is. So being able to win an unfavorable matchup against him on one of his favorable brawlers is going to be next to impossible considering how good he is at the moment.
Yeah, it doesn't seem very likely, does it? Yeah, you're very right, actually. Just switching would have been from far the best call, right? Because then you get the counter situation against the Rico, and you get an okay matchup against the Stew. Definitely better than what we had, but look at that. We got the Poker double tank coming in here for SK. Let's see if Reply Totem can deal with it. I mean, they have the damage to deal with it, so they definitely could.
Yeah, it kind of seems like they're doing quite a nice job of it at the moment. Jetson just trying to survive a little bit longer. Maru taken down. I'm not sure if he popped a bouncy castle then. I feel like maybe I will have seen it flash up above his head just before, but I'm not too sure. Tuning Fork popped by Jetson, allowing the healing that isn't really going to do too much considering they took next to no damage, but Skyris is going to go and clean up that turret that they did pick up now, and Semantic in this aggressive position is going quite a long way in. I'm not sure about that turret from Mori, other than the fact that it is going to stay alive a lot longer than it probably should have done, but I mean, overall, it's all-out domination from Totem so far.
This has been looking very good from them so far. Comp-wise, I do feel like they're the ones with a bit more of the counter on their end, but SK Gaming might be able to find some sweet value there. Pull from Skyrix, that's an easy kill. And SK seems like they're slowly creeping their way back up as they're tied up gem-wise. They have quite a bit of control. Skyrix trying his best to find as much value as he can. Semantic is there to find the trade. Oh, he's gonna catch the gems as well, and Semantic makes it almost a triple. Jedden is gonna be the one to close that one out. Respawns have started to go through, but wow, that was beautiful stuff from Semantic.
Yeah, I mean, Semantic, that is just absolutely phenomenal play. Just literally turned the game on its head, and it kind of seems like Totem just weren't learning about placing the turret so high when the Jackie's in play, and they're just not throwing it anywhere else other than the fact that Scarus can walk up and 3-tap it no matter where it is behind that wall. And I feel like that might have cost them a little bit there, wasting a couple of supers. But clearly, the 8-bit's not going to work for them as well as it did SK in the initial game. So a nice quick 2-0 for SK Gaming.
Yeah, no, they looked really good here. Not gonna lie, they looked really good. We talked about, you know, what is required for Totem to win this match, and our thoughts were a strong first set to try to close out in a 2-0 in sets. I think we're as far as we could be from that.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really go to plan, did it, for Totem in that first one there? I mean, two comps that probably, you know, should have worked to some degree. If they'd have got the sides right and stuff, I feel like maybe it's probably one of the better comps to be able to pull out against the Poco double tank, considering they have the 8-bit with the damage from that. It's got a lot of DPS. The Rico as well, which is matches the DPS that the 8-bit has. So, you know, it's a little bit worrying that they maybe are losing that matchup, and they just kept on throwing the turret really, really high up in the defensive position instead of just trying to play a bit further back and play it a bit more slowly. But they just didn't do it right, and they're going to have to change something up to go into this hot zone set because, I mean, it just didn't seem like they were on top of their game, which is, you know, never going to work if you're playing against SK Gaming.
No, absolutely. Against SK, you need to play at your best, even if SK is having a bad day, which is very rare. you still need to play some very fine Brawl Stars. Don't get me wrong. Like, you actually still have to play at the top level. So it's looking a little scary here for Totem. This semifinal might be short-lived for them, as SK. I think they looked fairly dominant in Gem Grab, and they're going to be looking to replicate that coming into set number 2 as well. Comp-wise, we've seen quite a lot of different stuff. Let me think. I feel like we haven't seen any Byron and 8-Bit yet on Ring of Fire today, and we saw it from Reply Totem here in that final game. Maybe they want to try to translate that to some Hot Zone as well.
I feel like it's the perfect time to do it, isn't it, really, with Bell out the mix, Brock out the mix who can break it up, and then also we're going to be having Leon out the mix too, which is a really big part of this map also. So I feel like maybe we'll be seeing, Byron 8-Bit paired up with some Rico. Pretty much what we've just seen in that previous game from Reply Totem move directly over to this next set, and I feel like that could work quite well. But I mean, other than that, I can't really think what else other than obviously the Crow to negate a bit of that healing.
All right, well, here we go. We see the Ruffs, and he is going to be increasing that max HP from his teammates. I like that quite a bit, and the thing that sometimes can be forgotten as well is that technically even 30 HP could be enough to change some matchups and how much ammo you need to take someone down. So even getting just a couple of ticks from that heal up from Skyrex can go a really long way in winning those matchups. We start off with Totem with a very strong lead, but I think that once those buffs start coming through here from Skyrex, this is when we might see SK shine. So far though, it's getting later and later into the game, and they haven't stepped in the zone yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm really not sure what SK were thinking with this comp, to be honest with you. I mean, it's starting to work a little bit more now, but this deficit might be too much for them to really come back from at this point, because 65% to 5 and still really no signs of anything happening, considering how low they are. It's definitely not the best position to be in, and Mori's still remaining on this zone, and Semantic can't even connect with him even when he doesn't have his speed, but that is a lovely super from Jen and a good jump from Skyrex, but just too little too late in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely so. I mean, now, there's that control from Totem, and they're just not going anywhere. 92, 93, 94. This is going to be Totem taking that game. And honestly, SK Gaming, I haven't seen them lose games of Hot Zone this drastically in a very long time. That was very one-sided, and usually SK Gaming, they're on the other side, other end of the deal.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not sure what they were thinking with the comp. That's the thing. It just wasn't really lying right with me there. They're playing the long game when all Totem wants to do is just step on the zone and shoot some heals in the back of an 8-Bit. You're not going to last too long if you don't have the initial straight-up DPS to deal with it, or something very similar to try and mirror what they're doing just in a better way. Because a Piper, regardless of how many shots you hit with the buff, the Byron's still going to be giving heals after heals after heals, especially with the 8-Bit turret there.
Yeah, no, very, very fair point. I mean, we'll see. This is a chance now for Reply Totem. Seems like they got a little bit of a freebie in that first game of Hot Zone. Now, just one more and we go to set 3. So it could be happening sooner than we even think. But SK Gaming, I'm sure they have plenty of tricks up on their sleeve to try to make a stop to that and just close it out in 2 sets.
Yeah, I imagine that's sure what they'll be trying to do, at least. Whether or not they'll be able to pull it off and get 2 direct games in a row like they had done in the first set. Now, in the face of Reply Totem's Hot Zone momentum that they've managed to build up during that first one there, an extremely dominant performance. Well, SK probably got like 20% maximum over the entirety of that game. So, I mean, they're going to have to pull something very, very similar out. And even at that, Totem played it really, really well. So whether or not they'll be able to match it, I'm not sure.
Well, there's only one way to find out. I mean, I think from the start here, SK need to just change things up in the comps, right? But execution-wise as well, that was just a little bit of a sloppy game. I feel like, despite also just those comps not really working out here for SK. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, I always believe in Totem being able to take down those Titans, you know, but it's still SK, and as I said, I feel like they probably have a plan B here lined up, and I like this. I like this, going for the anti-heal as well from Bros, the Crow, and probably the Byron too. This could find some good value. Now, obviously, first those 8-bits gonna be looking to get those turrets as soon as possible. Mari getting beamed down, and Skyrix has turret number 1. Jeden picks up a nice kill. Semantic to make it a team ace, and you do end up seeing SK was a lot more middle control early on.
Yeah, seeing Penny just never sits right with me, but it seems to be working quite well. I mean, he's just clear to say he's going for the splash on that turret, and he just can't seem to connect with it. Jeden just trying to throw one down the side, one back to heal with Sky, but eventually SodaBrez is going to be able to do something and take down the 8-bit, but 20% lead has been secured by SK, and Jen's still managing to live on here regardless of how much how many shots are coming his way, should I say, and still seems to be working. SK now back in the lead with a lot of mid control.
Totem trying to chase them out of that position and not successful at it just yet. Damage booster plays for Totem. Semantic is so low HP, does end up going down, but SK are still in the zone, still capturing it and trying to get it as close as possible to the finish line. Only 14%, that's all they need.
Yeah, and they have got the turret, but I'm sure they're a little bit worried about the Penny tanking, Penny shots coming through and them having to tank either for it or it tank for them. And a lot of percentages being secured now by Totem. Penny turret doing a lot of work, and another one's been secured along the way too by SodaBrez. And a possibility of a comeback coming in now as Semantic goes down 2 and Jeden falls as well. Skyrix all alone, and they're closing the gap second by second.
Oh my, this is actually getting really close. Comeback might be coming true. SodaBrez does end up going down, but it's only Jeden alive, and look at that, reply Totem. They pick the game up, therefore also the set, pushing things to a third and final set. Didn't really see it coming, to be honest. I feel like SK has such a dominant lead, such a dominant start and mid-game. We're looking really amazing across the board, but Totem, they kept hope all the way until the end. Were able to find a gap in that defense, and once they found it, they were able to just straight up come back and steal away that game.
It's all about that Penny turret. It's all about the Penny turret. Get in the positioning as well, perfect. Just keeping him in spawn. And that's all that's really going to matter, you know, when you have the control and you've got near enough a 4th brawler on the map that you've got to worry about in that turret. It does open, you know, a certain dimension up of the game, and they just could not push out spawn. It was 20% to 86, I think, and they were able to get 80% before SK even secured 1. That just shows how dominant the second portion of that game was.
Yeah, definitely was. Definitely was. And their hold was also just so flawless, you know, because that's the thing as well, was the kind of lead that SK had. Even though you have some control, SK are just going to be, you know, spamming that zone and just walking in, fighting you directly in the zone, because they know that every percentage that they get just gets them so much closer to the finish line. But unfortunately for them, they got melted down so quickly every single time, and Reply Totem ended up being the only one in the zone for pretty much the second half of that game, and they put off a pretty awesome comeback. The question is, can they come back this entire match, because they've been on a bit of a streak now, but Heist is still up there. Safe zone, if my memory is correct, and yeah, this is a bit of a scary one. I feel like SK are really, really good on this map. Totem, I think they're decent, but I don't know if they have the level of SK on a map like a Safe Zone.
I feel like it just requires like a lot of raw mechanics, a lot of synergy. It's the pinching along with the 1v1 lanes, and I feel like SK have definitely got the edge. But from that performance, I mean, I don't think I can rule Totem out anymore. I feel like they've definitely got a chance of taking this 2-1, just because of how well they played that set. And, you know, a mirror comp, well, near enough a mirror comp at the end. They had the Penny, which in the short term was definitely worse than the Crow, but as soon as he got that super, it kind of turned the tables. But coming onto this heist, SK are kind of the undeniable favourites for it, in my opinion, but it just depends if Totem going to pull something completely odd out the bag and just manage to take this miraculously.
They might, man. They might. If any team can do stuff like that, it's definitely going to be Totem. But they still got a bit of a challenge ahead of them. Got to be really careful as well. You know, especially in situations like these where you end up sweeping that second set, or if it's a best of 5, the third set, you get in a position where you can get such a strong stop in your momentum as well. Like, it can leave just as quickly as you started building it up. Because if SK just win this next game right now, Totem, they might be in that position where you feel like you've come back a long way to just have the same exact pressure again of it being over really quickly if you mess anything up.
Yeah, but I mean, this is exactly where they wanted to take it to, especially after losing that first gem grab game. The first gem grab set. They needed that kind of performance to bring the momentum back in their favor, and that's exactly what they provided for us. A really, really solid hot zone set, and now they just need to do the exact same in heist, which is a lot to ask. But I mean, it's probably going to be a mirror comp of the Piper, Colt, and Rico, but you know, knowing Totem, it might not be. They might just, you know, pull something completely random out. I kind of want to see some tanks, see some BB in there along with the Poco Max, but I mean, I'm not even sure if that's possible anymore with the Colt and Rico being the main lanes.
Yeah, it's definitely tough, right? Because in the end, they do have a lot of damage potential that can just slow down those tankier strategies. It's a bit of a tough call. I mean, we'll see also if they are just willing to take risks like that, right? But let's go check it out. Doesn't seem like it. We are seeing the Nani on both sides, actually. So, interesting.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, Jen's going to break up that left-hand side first to a secure, a really solid lane for the Nani, and now he does break up his own lane on top of that. So he's going to progress a bit further up and get rid of a few of the walls that the opposing Colt's going to be standing behind. And SK in just such an amazing flurry of shots at the start and managed to secure all the control they needed.
Nice stack from Semantic, and obviously the follow-up homemade recipe will connect as well. And SK keep chipping down Reply Totem safe, getting it all the way down to 69%. And honestly, that's a pretty decent start for SK. I think they're going to be pretty happy with getting so much damage early on.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they'll prove me wrong and actually pull out a win for the Nanny that I'm still yet to see at this point. So I'm kind of wanting to see it. Jetting with a lovely super through, and he should get the pickup on Soda Brezza too. Doesn't line it up properly and not able to get it just yet. Semantic is one shot though, so has to retreat up and just try and keep this control, because a 31% lead's not something they're going to be complaining too much about. Homemade recipe missed as well, which allows Semantic just to aggress a little bit more.
Man, I just love how casually Semantic dodged that homemade recipe, and oh, getting a nice double tap there, double kill as well, and damage keeps pouring down. 54% left, and Totem, they have yet to find a single point of damage onto the blue save. Not anywhere close to even have it inside.
Yeah, Mori now looking extremely low. Jetton over here on the right, just picking up Mori, and they're going to be extending the lead even more, breaking up that lane, which I really do like from Semantic. Going to be throwing the Nanny head out as well, just to try and get up in the position that they've just broken on the opposite side of the map, and Silver Bullet is there from Soda Brezza, but, you know, in the face of a Nanny, not much you can do, especially because of the amount of damage they're going to throw forward. And I mean, this is looking near enough wrapped up at this point. Still 100% left on SK safe, and Totem is still in their half of the map, even when it's just Semantic standing there.
This is looking pretty dangerous here, as it seems like SK Gaming are going to be at match point, and I'm saying it with so much uncertainty, but it's very much certain as SK Gaming gets to a match point. What a game to do it as well, as they look down incredible here, to be completely honest. They look really good. Totem are gonna have to react, and I'm not sure where to start. I feel like comp-wise, I mean, you're not the biggest fan of the Nani, So not sure if that's the way to go or something they need to mirror per se, but there's definitely some work that needs to be done here because it was just far from being ideal from Reply Totem.
I mean, maybe it's not the nanny, maybe it's just the previous teams that I've seen playing it. So, I mean, I'm not sure that looked to be near enough perfect from SK. And, you know, you can't really fault the brawler when it dominates a lane that much. I will say it was Jetton who did the majority of the work on his lane against the opposing Colt. So, I feel like maybe SoyDaBreza just needs to play a little more passive, wait for Jetton to maybe misstep and take advantage of it that way. But, I mean, can we deny at all that it was all semantic? Like, he was just tapping to the right, tapping up his lane, dodging homemade recipes, hitting all of his shots perfectly. And, I mean, his pinching ability is just insane as well.
Yeah, man, it's so tough. He just switches targets as well, keeping things fresh. And he's so quick on the homemade recipes as well, man. Like, you literally get hit, you're dead. 3 times in that game. That's how good he uses those homemade recipes. And, I mean, the gadget being really strong in the first place as well, of course. But, yeah, good stuff from SK. I think they close it out in this game. I'm not sure if they will. I would love to see the double match point. But they were looking so good, dude. I don't know. I just can't help but feel like they got this in their hands.
That is a nasty beam from Jetton off the start, and it required a bit of a heal up from Mori. And I will say, look at the differences here. We've got the Colts broken up the side on SK, and Mori's still got that close-off lane, which is hugely going to favour the Colt here. And you can see that the aggression already. It's exactly comparable to what we saw last game, where we might be seeing a good amount of damage, which is, yet again, comparable to what we saw last game.
Totem trying to regain that control, at least for the longer term. Did a TP went true? I'm not sure, but definitely the kill did. As Reply Totem created a little bit of space, but they still have to catch up damage-wise, and they have to be able to hold on to this position. So far, it's definitely going to be a bit of a challenge. Nice jump from Semantic. Going to be avoiding that homemade recipe. Hits his onto Maru. And that should create a little bit of space. However, that TP could be a bit of a nightmare situation.
Yep, Jetton goes down, and so does Semantic along with it. SoyDaBreza able to take a few shots at the safe this time, and I believe it was SoyDaBreza on the Colt last game, so maybe we're seeing a few changes made by Totem about who plays a couple of those brawlers as well. Maybe it's just a favourable nanny that they wanted on it, but Skyrix with the TP now. Jetton following up with some shots onto Marrow, and he does secure it as well, and he's got the control of that right-hand channel, which is what he really does want as that brawler. Semantic yet again avoiding another homemade recipe with his jump, which takes some serious reaction speed.
Alright, still a pretty heavy lead in favor of SK, but the push is Totems. Let's see if they can match up that damage. They're not far behind. They do need to hit those shots. So the Breza going for the peaks. Not going for damage on save though, which is an interesting decision considering the time as well as that lead.
Oh.
But Skyrix, whew, that was a disgusting double kill. And that is GG's as well. SK Gaming pick up this game set and match, knocking Reply Totem out here in the semifinals.
That bait was just absolutely on point, I will say. It was absolutely ridiculous what he did there. He popped that super, knowing full well he had the shield. He could tank all the damage he wants, so that makes you think that he's going to go up the map and try and get some damage secured. But he just completely TPs after they've taken a couple of shots, so they've got no ammo. Gets the double kill and just opens it all up for SK to finish off the game even more convincingly than what it would have been if they hadn't have gone up and got more damage. So, lovely plays from SK around. A well-fought battle by Reply Totem, though. So, we'll be seeing SK in the finals.
All right, good stuff. It wouldn't be a traditional grand final in EMEA if you didn't have SK somehow in it. But overall, that was a strong performance on their end. I feel like Totem had their shots here and there, but a slight lack of being able to really convert it into proper games, and some misplays as well, and overall getting outshined a little bit by SK still. It was the result that we expected, pretty much. You know, I would say that SK is a favorite, but a 2-1 scoreline, I accept that. I feel like that's pretty much what I'd expect from a match like this.
Yeah, I mean, I think so too. The 2-1 is very much, it's a really good reflection of how the game went, actually, because, you know, sometimes you see these score lines of you know, really, really close matches with the 2-1s, but every single one of the set was as dominant as it's shown in the 2-0s. So, I mean, you know, Reply Totem did a really, really good job of sticking in there.
All right, I think we got our next matchup ready as well. That's going to be AC Milan Clash versus Blood Diamond. An interesting one for the least. We talked quite a bit about both teams today already. Clash. They're one of the best teams in the region. They always look pretty good, if not absolutely excellent. Blood Diamond, they're on the rise. They have shown us that they can do so much work and make so much happen. Same time, they still have to really prove their spot in Tier 1 and you know, show the world that they are one of the best teams here in the region. This is going to be their chance to put out a statement. Gem grab on Hard Rock Mine, heist on Safe Zone, bounty on Dry Season. That's what we're going to be seeing here. Was the Poco tick bans on the side of Clash, and Blood Diamond going for Rico and Nani.
Yeah, they really not liking tick today, are they, Clash? I mean, it's going to be joined by a Poco this time, which is, I believe, a little bit different from what we saw last time, and then Rico and Nani on the other side of things from Blood Diamond. So we're seeing completely different bands to what we're used to, and we're seeing Byron, Ash, and Brock all available.
Yeah, those are some pretty significant brawlers for sure. I mean, we saw Ash ban, both Ash and Brock, right, banned for every single match today, haven't we? And we expected a lot of different teams as well, so usually they just ban them all out, but I like that Blood Diamond are keeping them in because they are still the underdog in a matchup like this, even though it's not like an 80-20 and probably closer than to a 15-50 than most of the matches we've seen. On paper, Clash should be better. Blood Diamond gonna have a lot to prove, and I do like the idea of having some of those brawlers in the mix to try to catch our opponents off guard and maybe just be able to melt through them with, as you said, something like a Brock, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think so too. Yeah, I mean, in my eyes, I think it's just going to come out fairly safe in the first match. We'll probably see the Byron and also the Ash along with it, so that should probably walk over the majority of different brawlers, especially because the Rico's out of the mix. That's usually the one you probably see combating it the most with the amount of DPS available on this map. So, you know, probably at the Byron in the mid, just being played, and then the Ash on one of the lanes, and then you can probably pair it with another tank, to be honest with you. Maybe we'll just see a lot of tanks coming out, possibly even the Max, and playing the Byron and Ash together.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what sort of comps they're looking to bring in. I mean, since Brock and Ash aren't banned, I'm supposing we'll see them quite a bit in this match. Especially Brock has quite a couple of excellent maps for him. In this first game, doesn't seem like we will see all of it, as we do see the Ash coming through with the Byron, finding some decent value early on, but having that wall between him means he can't get healed up, and he will get dealt with immediately. And look at that Clash. They're actually just tied up in gems. What a pull there. That's the gems as well. That is a juicy pull from the now. Oh my.
Yeah, really nice plays all around from Clash, and it's surprising to see them not playing these brawlers that we really are expecting game in, game out in this kind of series. So it's nice to see they're able to combat it even without playing those. Chaos now trying to aggress a bit more, and he does get splashed. Yoshi able to push up a little bit more and pick up a gem, so that's going to make it 7-1, but Rafa now showing his worth on that Mortis and trying to get some work done, but Healing wins. Super Chaos goes down, and Blacksea now powered all the way up, but the pull should shut him down nice and easily. Rafa staying on the edge of that super, which is really not required considering it is Healing Winds and not Rude Sands, and gets a nice little chain off here. Don't know if he's going to be able to cycle another one though, and he does get taken down, but BD have managed to bank, should be 5 after that one.
And the Diamond slowly catching up gem-wise. Do have to be careful to not get pulled by Lena again. That would be a bit of a nightmare scenario. But Now takes a decent bit of damage. Black Sea able to take down kills, and he's been putting in a lot of work there, being a big nuisance for Aceman Clash, but yet another pull from the now, and look at that. Clash with the countdown starting now. BrawlDiamond trying to interrupt it, but there's just no shot. The is too far away, and Clash, they pick up game number 1.
Yeah, unusual to see, but I'm not opposed to it. The fact that they're able to beat the Ashe and Byron comp with what they're kind of just frankly brought as a couple of metas ago main gem grab comp. So it's nice to see that it still works, even against a team such as BrawlDiamond, who should be able to put up a fight against them no matter what the comp. But yeah, Clash taking a really early lead, making it 1-0 in the gem grab, and probably wanting to shut this out really, really fast and move on to the finals. But I mean, BrawlDiamond aren't going to want to let that happen easy.
Yeah, it's probably not a semi that Clash want to particularly just stick around, you know? But yeah, BrawlDiamond gonna be trying their best to give them a challenge, and so far that's the thing, you know? They definitely fought back, but it didn't really feel like they could win, if that makes any sense. Like, there's some opportunities here and there, and definitely gave Clash a run for their money, but it was still fairly dominant in the sides of Clash, and BrawlDiamond need to be really careful, because losing another game like that, that's already a set. It's brutal, it goes really, really fast, and they need to be extremely careful with how they approach those decisions.
Yeah, definitely need to be a bit more careful about the comps. I feel, you know, Byron Ashe, I think they can probably just stick with it, but whether or not you play with the Mortis, which is another one that does require really, really close vicinity to be played with it, it's a bit of a tough goal to make. However, they are just going to be going for the comp that Clash went and just trying to mirror it and win it that way, and it's not a bad start for them.
Getting stunned. Kill does come in the end. And now she looking to find a trade. Will get it, and that means he can secure a couple extra gems despite taking quite a bit of damage. He's able to pick all of them up, and we'll be getting to 6 now, and that's pretty much a flawless start, at least gem-wise. And look at that, so much value of those shots from Chaos, and that's definitely going to be helping Clash's case out quite a bit.
Yeah, seeing the max with all the gems on the side of Clash, so that means that Jin could probably go fairly aggressive with this pull and try something a bit more risky than what you'd usually go for. Still no speed from Yoshi though, so puts them in a bit of a tough spot as Rafa does aggress a little bit further up, but now it does come through, and Chaos trying to get a super, and eventually they're going to get it off each other. Healing wins on top of Rutanza. We'll see what works the best. Rafa hits the pull and secures himself another gem, which makes it 6-6. Chaos falls as well, and now it's just Javi left all alone. And now a deficit is starting to build up for Clash.
Okay, this might be the game here that we were hoping for. But the pool doesn't really come in play just yet here from the nice solo HP, but can't really commit to anything as the countdown starts now for BrawlDiamond and Clash. They do once again have that pool available, the movement speed too. Now the question is lining up someone to actually pull away. The Nine gets pulled himself, and that's pretty much going to be sealing the deal regarding that, as BrawlDiamond pick up this game, tying things up here in set number 1.
Yeah, I mean, BrawlDiamond coming to fight, clearly. Don't want to be swept under the bus too fast by Clash, and probably want to try and do the opposite to them. Making it 1-1 in gem grab now. And clearly in that one, the mirror comp did favour them, which is something you kind of got to think about. It's not often AC Milan Clash will lose a mirror match against a team like BrawlDiamond, who does have the upset capability of beating these top teams, but it doesn't happen too often. They'd usually, you know, sweep them quite easily with a mirror comp.
All right, well, let's see who is going to be taking home gem grab here in this semi-final, as both teams will be dueling it out now, going for some very similar comps here, the mirror matchups, I believe. And look at that, Yoshi is able to at last find the trade. The pull from the Nakonex as well should be the next one in the list, as Clash, they did lose a couple of gems. They do have more control now.
Yeah, shouldn't have after this super from Javi though, and if they can maintain it through this, then they're going to be looking in a very good place. But Javi's going to say no to that and sweep up Lene nice and easily, but Chaos trying to aggress on the other side of things, dodging shots quite nicely. The stun's there on both of them, and Rafa probably could have been pulled by Lene there, but didn't go for it. Yoshi's going to take him down regardless, and Javi all alone now. Yoshi trying to aggress for those gems, but Javi behind them, probably with a stun in hand. He does, but he doesn't use it in time. And this is probably going to require a nice pull from Rafa to turn this game back on its head.
Alright, countdown starting now. It does get interrupted as Rafa hits that pull, and has very low HP as well. Does go down, and that's yet another gem dropped by Clash, and now in the hands of Blood Diamond. Still a little bit behind gem-wise, but they need to be careful here. It can go rather quickly, and Yoshi needs to make sure he doesn't get pulled. That would be the worst case scenario here.
Yeah, Lene with the pull in hand. Javi still in an aggressive position, and the pull from Rafa is going to secure a takedown onto Chaos now. And Black Sea aggressing with this one gem could be a bit of a tough scenario if he does get scouted out, as he walks out of that super a little bit. But Lene with a pull onto Javi, trying to just not turn the game with a pull, but just relieving a bit of pressure, which is probably what's required at this point, considering how well BD have been playing it throughout. A pull from Rafa does connect, and Chaos is going to fall down once more, 9-9 now, but a 3v2 in the mid should mean that Blood Diamond come out victorious. Yoshi with a nice dash and a takedown, a speed as well to even things out, and now it's only 10-9, easy to equal it out from mid. But a super from Javi should keep them all fairly low and make them back up.
Okay, they do manage to pick up that gem. Not only reset the countdown earlier, but actually take it back in their favor. But look at that. Clash, they managed to take away a couple of those gems. The pull does connect there, and that's not ideal for Clash. However, they still got enough gems. Can they find any kills here? Blood Diamond looking for some angles, but it's not meant to be, as we do see AC Milan Clash picking up the first set in the end.
That does secure a nice early set for AC Milan Clash there. Moving on to Safe Zone next is probably going to be in their favor as well, I will say. So a really good early set for Clash to take, because if Blood Diamond have taken it, it goes to Dry Season where it becomes a little bit more volatile. But I think Heist is one of those maps and modes where Clash just seem to play it perfectly near enough every single time.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, Heist is just a really good mode for Clash in general, right? So it's pretty scary to get into that now in set number 2, considering they took the first one. Blood Diamond, they had a real shot here at taking gem grab, not only because it was tied up, but also because that final game was so close, and they could absolutely have nailed it down. So a bit of a curious case here, and I feel like Clash overall are definitely starting to set things up very nicely in their favor. But Diamond, I think they need to put an end to it as soon as possible. You know, first game of the set, take it, stop some of that momentum from Clash. We know how deadly they can be once they have that overconfidence that we know them for. They really need to hit hard and hit really early if possible.
Yeah, we do have that. We do have Nani and Rico out of the mix as well. We can't forget about those two brawlers, which would be used on this map, and Rico on the previous one too. So it's a bit of a different one call. I think maybe, I don't believe Bell's out of the mix. Are probably going to be seeing like a Colt, Bell, and Piper comp. But Brock as well. How can I forget about Brock? No Colt probably involved, and the Brock's going to be that dominant wall break.
Yeah, I think that we just don't really get used to seeing Brock playable anymore, do we? It's pretty much always banned. So I feel you, Trav. I feel you, but we do have already some pretty good action here, and the kill comes through for Clash. Question is, how much can they capitalize damage-wise on that save? So far, not a lot, but at least they have the early lead for now.
Yep. Doesn't seem like it's going to last long at all when a player like Javi's going to be pushing up the map on his Brock. connecting shots to the safe, and teammates do as well. The Piper and Bell follow up along with him. It's going to take some serious skill from Guille to get out of this position, looking very low, and he's got a very small choke point that he can push through. And Javi's just going to keep on harassing that choke point to make sure that he can't push up.
So far, a little bit of a stalemate. Both teams trading some shots here and there, trying to get some supers and some more opportunities. But Blood Diamond have built up a little bit of a lead. Let's see if they can keep it like that.
Blacksy now, just over the right-hand side. Nest Egg's down, so... I mean, from both teams, Nest Egg's down. Rafa gets her pickup as well, and it just kind of seems like Blood Diamond are on top of this one. Blacksy getting shots onto Chaos as well, and he remains in an aggressive position, however, though, and tries to still trade a few shots out. Mark available, does connect it. That's going to help him quite a lot on that lane. 2-tap bail capability now, and Guille finally getting some shots off onto Javi and trying to prove himself in this mid, but Rafa's going to quickly shut down Lane in mid, and this is looking like a Blood Diamond win.
Alright, 20 seconds left. Still technically possible for Clash to come back, but it doesn't seem too likely so far. Lena is very low HP. Still a homemade recipe available from Rafa. That is a bit of a statement, as Blood Diamond will be the ones to take the first game of Heist. We mentioned it earlier, Trav. If Blood Diamond want to stand a chance, we felt like they needed to hit hard and hit early in that set. They did so. And they look really, really good while doing it. I mean, it is a game of Heist that came down to the counter and to the clock. But still, they were way ahead, and it felt like at no point in that game did they lose control of what was going to be that final outcome.
Yeah, definitely seemed in control throughout. I mean, they had a bit of a deficit off the start, but then instantly came back with a flurry of shots from all three brawlers, which near enough did all of that damage that was there. 41% secured straight away, pretty much, in a singular push. So you don't see that too often. But Clash just could not get back into the groove after they took that initial few deaths, and Javi just did such a good job over that left-hand side dealing with Guille for the majority of the game. You need to get the Brock up the map as the damage dealer to do the damage, and they just couldn't get in a position where they were able to do that.
Alright, same comp, same strats. And look at that, Rafa finds that chaos. And Lena, did he homemade recipe into the wall? I'm not entirely sure if he used the gadget or not, but his shot definitely went into the wall. And although he does find a kill now, look at that control from Blood Diamond, and Javi just a free save to deal some extra damage on him.
Yeah, the Incendiary just keeps on ticking down too. Lane gonna go on the aggressive and try to get some damage, but Javi shuts him down too. And it just doesn't seem like there's much stopping BD at this point. 30% damage secured, should I say. And Blacksy throws 3 nest eggs down already for Guille and his team to trip over. Rafa gonna throw out the homemade recipe and pick that one up too. Guille throws a shot into the mid and does connect onto Rafa, but it's not gonna deter him too much. 45% already dealt, and BD still in the aggressive position.
Yeah, this is looking excellent from Blood Diamond. Look at that, 69% lead in favor of Blood Diamond. AC Milan Clash, they haven't found a single tick of damage on that red save. That is definitely impressive.
Yep, Lane and his teammate are going to go down over that left-hand side there as Rafa swiftly picks up the 2 kills. Guille is also going to fall, and only 30% remaining on Clash's safe. Rafa gets the trade with Lane, and a rocket fuel from Javi's going to deter Chaos that little bit longer. And I mean, 30 seconds left, they've got 70% damage to deal, and that's without any more flowing in from BD. This is looking like a GG in my books, and they're going to be pushing it to the 3rd set.
Alright, Blood Diamond maybe able to pull off the reverse sweep. They did the first half of it at least. Now it's going to be time for Bounty to see if they can actually find some closure here. I was going to say Shooting Star, but no. Oh, I'm struggling with the name of the map. Help
Dry
me out,
season.
Trav. Dry season. I remember the D, and then I forgot the rest of it. Don't ask me how that works. Sometimes the mind is a bit of an interesting place. But yeah, we have the Brock available, which is the first time we see that in dry season today. So we could have some pretty interesting differences compared to the other dry season sets we've seen so far today, where throwers are going to be struggling a little bit more, right? Because you can open up those walls a lot quicker using Brock's either gadget or super. So a lot of value to be found over there, and I feel like it's going to be pretty much a go-to for both, unless once again they decide to go for something like you know, tanks.
Yeah, I find that hard to think about though. Oh, I mean, I say that. As I'm saying it, they decided to play tanks. So I was expecting the Bell Brock, to be fair, to be honest. So tanks would probably been out of the mix, but I mean, it's the complete opposite has happened. We're seeing triple tank from Clash and the breakup comp alongside a Leon from BD, and a lovely rocket fuel from Javi to get that amount of damage onto the AQM players. And another shot's going to connect to both of them too, but Clash still in the lead, and they know they've got to keep this aggressiveness up to be able to take this one at all.
Well, this is going to be a bit of a challenge for both sides at this point. Lenon does end up going down, but the trade is there. Rafa in a bit of a tough spot. Gia should be able to get the chase, gets the kill in the end, and that's a 5-4 star lead rather in favor of Clash. And BD are going to be the ones trying to find someone wandering around. Gia is dodging pretty well so far. Shouldn't be too far from his super, and he gets it now. It's gonna connect it. Yup, the double stun, and that's huge. Double kill to follow up, and Clash now they double up that lead to 14-7 now, and it's looking really good.
Lane considering his choices there, and he was about to go in but decided to turn back on himself as soon as he realized it probably wasn't going to work out too well for him. Super from Gear once more, and the stun connects, but taken down nice and easily. Only one kill stands between them now. Lane can go down, but Chaos can't. Or in addition, any player can't. Well, two players can't go down, but a stun from Gear is going to secure that one. The takedown needs to be done by Blacksea, but the tanks from Lane are going to refuse that chance of a comeback from BD, and match point for Clash coming up next.
All right, match point, and that means that Clash are just a game away from having yet another El Clasico in the grand finals of this qualifier. Yeah, I mean, Clash is looking pretty good. Blood Diamond is definitely looking very good as well. But the match point, it's in the hands of Clash now, and Blood Diamond, they need to defend it off. Do you feel like comp-wise that was the problem, or is it more on the side of the execution?
I'm not sure, really. I feel like maybe the breakup comp should have done a little bit more. Obviously, they do struggle in terms of DPS when they do get into the positions that the tanks need to be in, and clearly they did that quite nicely with a couple of gadgets from Kie, some double stuns in there as well. But I think it was just near enough always the Primo coming in behind them to kind of pen them in and make sure they can't really run away. That really did the execution perfectly for Clash. Coming into this game, though, going to be seeing a mirror comp coming through from both of these teams, and this is really going to come down to who can execute this better.
Alright, Blue Star is being contested pretty heavily across the board, but Rafa almost picked it up, but kill goes through in the end in favor of Clash, giving them the 1-star lead as Javi is able to at least get that Blue Star as a commemoration prize. Consolation prize, I think is the word. But anyways, Blood Diamond, a star behind, and we saw in the previous game they were not able to come back, although it was so close. Let's see if this time around the scenario could turn out to be a little bit different.
Yep, Clash still in the lead now though, and Lollipop Drop does go down, however, to the rocket fuel as the walls get taken down a little bit. Lane tapped up, but Can't follow up with a homemade recipe because of that lollipop drop being deployed once more. Clash still firmly in the lead, and a rocket fuel from Guille should take down the Leon gadget once more, and a bit of a trade on the gadget side of things as Rafa's going to follow up with a shot of his own. Javi taken low, and a homemade recipe just out of range. Doesn't pick up Javi. They're looking like they want to extend this lead, not backing up into the spawn too much, as that would be quite a bit of a dangerous scenario for them, but also not going too aggressive to match it as well.
Still that one-star lead in favor of Clash. Diamond quickly need to make something happen here. I was going to say slowly, but the clock is ticking. There's not that much time left. Homemade recipe literally zigzags between Lena and Guille, and with 10 seconds left, this is looking more and more desperate here for Blood Diamond. Lena gonna be diving away. 3 more seconds, and it doesn't seem like any kills come true. Just the one from Clash early on, but a win is a win, and the finals are where we will be seeing Clash next, facing SK Gaming. Of course, Trav, it had to be El Clasico once again. I'm excited about it, man. I'm excited about it. Blood Diamond, they had a really strong performance this match overall, just not quite strong enough to take down Clash.
Yeah, I mean, they put in a valiant effort. It was a very good effort, I will say. The heist looked so convincing from them, but then just completely flipped on its head in the bounty, and they just could not progress and get in the position they want to do as much as they could in the prior game and set. So, I mean, Clash, very well deserved, I will say, but overall, Blood Diamond are going to be going home with a 3rd to 4th place, which honestly not too saddened about, and I'm sure they won't be either because of those points that they're going to secure.
Absolutely. So, Trav, let's go check out the bracket to see where things are at and prepares for the grand finals. AC Milan Clash versus SK Gaming. We mentioned it a couple of times already. It's El Clasico, and it is going to be our finals here of the second qualifier. AC Milan Clash, just to look at their route until here, they won against Blood Diamond 2-1, won against FA Frutas 2-0, and won against Taifa Esports 2-0 as well. SK was almost only 2-0s across the board as they took down Final Stand Esports, and All Stars a 2-1 against Reply Totem, and that leads us to the finals. That's going to be AC Milan Clash versus SK Gaming.
Should be a good one at that as well, I will say. El Clasico never gets boring, does it really? So, I mean, looking forward to that coming up next, and to be honest, it should be the game of the day. Considering it is the final, you would expect it to be like that.
Absolutely so, Trav. We'll see you guys for the finals of this qualifier in just a couple of minutes. Alright, we are back, and with nothing else but El Clasico for the grand finals of this second open qualifier. It's gonna be AC Milan Clash versus SK Gaming. You guys know the drill at this point. The biggest rivalry in the EMEA region, arguably in BSC altogether. Yeah, always excited to see that matchup come up. Trav. Well, actually, I was going to ask you a question, but first let's get through that draft. Safe Zone and Heist going to be picked by SK, whereas Bounty, Dry Season, Hot Zone, Ring of Fire are going to be the picks from AC Milan Clash. Nani ban. Okay. Tick ban as well. AC Milan Clash are on a wild streak of interesting bans today. Not gonna lie, that is definitely not something we see every day.
Yeah, I mean, if still look on the other side of things, we've got Rico banned from SK as well, so clearly don't want to be playing that on Safe Zone and Ring of Fire. I imagine if it goes that far, I don't think it's too much of a valuable pick on Dry Season, so probably just for those two maps on that one. Safe Zone, you know, they've got Brock out of the way this time, so we're not going to be seeing the same meta as last time. Probably going to be very similar with the Bell, the Piper, and the Colt. Yep, there you go. But overall, I mean, you know, you can't fault the comps. The bands line up for it, and we're seeing a Colette, which I think might struggle quite a lot against the Bell lane.
Yeah, I'm not so sure if it's the way to go. I mean, if we can make some yeah, I was trying to find, you know, in what scenario it could work. But with a Colt especially, it's gonna be a nightmare if, you know, any of that cover on the right side is gone. Piper, you know, with a super, can pretty much just render that Colette useless. However, SK, they still managed to find that mid control, and it's definitely not due to the Colette, but it's alive, and that super is gonna be connecting. That's some nice damage coming through, and even though it has been slacking a little bit against the Bell in the matchup, I mean, that 13% damage is definitely very, very nice.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's not the Colette getting the control. If they're getting it, they're getting it. And that's where SK seems to thrive, the teamwork between usually the Colt and the Piper on this map getting the pinches across. But Jen doesn't need any help to get that one. Super on the safe as well, breaking up a couple of those walls on the left just so it's a bit easier to hit the shots when Yoshi does eventually come back. But Jen's falling very, very low. The silver bullet connects, and so does Lenane's shot. And now we're just waiting it out. We've got 42% damage dealt by SK Gaming, and only the first shot of Clash will connect just then.
Alright, 42% damage taken on that blue save. That's a pretty big lead as well in favor of SK so far. I do feel like an opening on that Colette, yeah, was going to be happening soon enough. Homemade Recipe doesn't connect, just runs out of range ever so barely. And now we finally have some damage pouring down on that red save. AC Milan Clash trying to close the gap. Only 10% away now, definitely a lot closer than where it started.
Mid recipe from Lenane as well. Knowing he needs to put it out at that time to relieve the pressure, but it's not going to happen. Jennings on the save. Skyrox with a super should secure enough damage to wrap this one up, and Clash know it as well. First game of this series going to SK in a fairly convincing fashion off the start. Then it flipped back on its head, and then once more SK taking it back. So very well played by them. Clash not able to hold on just long enough, and I'm not saying the Colette worked. I'm not saying it yet. I'm not saying the Colette's working. If they bring it out again, I'm feeling maybe the result will be a little bit different.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I feel like it worked with the Colette more than the Colette worked, if that makes any sense. SK doing just a terrific job mid and on the left side. The Colette barely got any kills. That could have been a 0-kill game. I'm not even sure. Maybe the one at the end, but when they already gave up. But honestly, it could still be a viable strategy, even, you know, if the Colette is not doing the most work directly in her lane. That damage is quite significant, and in the end, she got like 3 supers, I think, maybe even 4. That's a lot of damage on that save. So if they're able to make the other lanes work and pinch and, you know, relieve some pressure so she can actually get those supers onto the save, I can see it going somewhere. But do we see it again? That's the real question. We didn't have the chance to see it just yet. Yeah, we see it again. So it's not just a one-time surprise pick or anything along those lines. They think it's the best way to go around this map now. At least in this match.
To be honest, as I say, to be honest, against the Byron, it might work a little bit better than it probably should have done against the Bell. But a Piper trade in the mid as the homemade recipes get thrown out. And Skyrex versus Chaos is still very much a stalemate. Jeden securing some lovely shots onto Yoshi. And he does get the takedown as well. And we've got another trade over the right-hand side this time as the Colette and Byron take each other out.
Ooh, interesting decision from Jeden to break that wall himself. Really going to deal a lot of damage on the safe with it. And now that Colette super comes through. Some nice little bonus damage on that save. Still a little bit more in control this time around than the previous game. It's only a 20% difference at this point. I feel like SK had a bigger lead by that time earlier. But right now, Clash, they get a couple of kills, start to gain some more control, and they could get really dangerous as they start to hit some more shots. Will be taking the lead, actually. But nearly a team wipe there, double kill for SK. And that damage is immediately matched by SK, taking that 20% lead once more.
Jetten's just going to edge that matchup, and Semantic able out of nowhere to turn that back on Lane after he gets the surprise shot out of the bush. 45% remaining on Clash's safe and only 72 on SK, so they haven't really done too much damage onto SK safe. Semantic's going to secure yet another pickup. Jetten misses his super, but afterwards, Semantic's going to take down Lane once more. Super onto saves. He knows they need damage. And only 30 seconds left to deal it. Just Colette to defend this now. And, I mean, Colette's Colette. And he's not going to be able to do too much defending because of the lack of range. He does go down, but Lane's just too low to push up. And SK do have a little bit of control back.
Okay, that jump is just going to delay the inevitable for Semantic. As we are just a couple seconds away from the end of this game. Yoshi was a really important kill, actually, because Colt has the most burst damage that Clash has, and SK Gaming, they're able to take this set in the end. They looked great in it, not gonna lie. Was that the map pick from Clash as well? I think it was. I'm not sure.
I'm not too sure.
Oh,
yeah.
I doubt it. I actually doubt it, because it would be a little crazy if they picked Bounty and Hot Zone, which is literally what Clash picked earlier already. So that would make the most sense. Maybe we'll get confirmation on the screen soon enough, but interesting nevertheless. I mean, that was fairly one-sided to the extent that Clash always had the lead. Yeah, it was SK's. I was thinking already, because Bounty and Hot Zone were literally what Clash picked earlier in like 2 of their matches or something, and they are known also just to be really good in Bounty and Hot Zone. So it would be a little weird if SK just decided to pick those modes. But yeah, okay, maybe that has something to do with it as well. I mean, Colette worked, I guess, didn't it, Trav?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean, apparently out of nowhere, Colette's just going to be really good on that map when, you know, people actually do use Bell and Colt even when the bans line up for Rico to be open. So, I mean, you know, it's just weird to see Colette being played, I guess. It's been a bit of a while, and even on this map, I don't even know that it was ever played unless it was played with a Byron backing it up. Never mind Byron on the opposite side. Yeah, so I'm not sure about that one. I'm really not sure, but... You know, as you said with the Piper jump, I'll say you said it was delaying the inevitable, but I mean, delaying the inevitable was maybe that was all that was needed, to be honest. Just delaying the damage coming in, and he did it fairly perfectly, to be fair. I mean, they were able to take the win quite nicely, as you say, though. Dry season coming up next, and Tick going to be banned out of the mix. Brock as well this time, so we won't be seeing the same wall breaks as last time. Probably returning once more with the Piper and the Leon, maybe even with a Sprout.
Yeah, no, I think so too, you know. Brock at least is out of the picture this time around, so that is going to be a very different dynamic than what we saw in the previous match where it was playable. So probably more thrower heavy. thing is, Tick out of the mix is really interesting here as well. So I feel like we've had a bunch of different situations, and look at that. It's the Clash come back at it again.
I mean, it worked perfectly last time. It worked absolutely perfectly last time, and if they can get behind these walls, maybe it'll work again. But Guille's maybe not even going to make it. Just about makes it, but the bounce can't get back onto him. And the lane's going to deny it just that little bit. But Jeden over-aggressing quite heavily. Chaos with some lovely taps, and Scar is going to fall too. Clash now have the super, and it's looking extremely good.
It certainly is. I mean, Luna was two ridiculous skills as well on the bow. I think they underestimated the damage as well on SK, getting so close and then getting absolutely melted down. But now they need to start, trying to farm those stars back. Not going to be an easy task. Definitely not going to be an easy task. Super from Jeden connects, but there's just no one and nothing to really capitalize on that. So it's a bit of a waste of a super in the end.
Yeah, another penny turret available, so clearly some shots connecting, and Lene now still sitting with 4 stars over his head, so the turnaround capability is definitely still there, but I mean, Skyrex is just getting hit by mortar shot after mortar shot, and it's requiring a lot of healing from Jeden, which can really throw a bit of a tough scenario in there for SK, as he needs to be dealing damage, not really healing at this point in the game.
Yeah, I don't really see a way out here. I mean, they do find Guille, but that would have been enough if they didn't lose 2 players earlier. Oh, Lena is so low. Maybe this is their chance, but Skyrex is going to get stunned by the mines and hit by the mortar. Oh, no. What a disaster here for SK Gaming, as things did seem like there was a little bit of a chance. That chance was gone just moments later. 5 seconds left, and SK, they're so far behind Clash. Pick up their first game of the finals. Important one as well, because now they're just a game away from pushing things to set 3 and forgetting about whatever happened in Heist with Colette.
Yeah, that comp is just so dirty. It's so dirty. I mean, SK made a few mistakes at the start with over-aggressing and so on, but I mean, you just can't make those kind of mistakes as SK. I mean, obviously they knew they had to get the lead back really fast before they started getting that setup perfectly down with the bow mines, the penny mortar, but it just wasn't done in the right fashion. I don't think the pinch just wasn't there, and Jen just kind of overextended, and maybe one by one they came in, and it didn't pay off.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that first push already pretty much sealed the deal, to be completely honest, you know, because they lost 2 players that really just went for 1v1s against the bow, which is just the worst one they could possibly 1v1 up close, because it deals so much damage, it is so tanky, and the hard thing with bow, I feel like, is hitting multiple of your arrows at a distance. And if you're that close up and you get hit by all 3, it's a ridiculous amount of damage you're going to be taking in. And yeah, a bit of impatience, maybe. I'm not entirely sure. Overconfidence. I don't really know what that was from Clash, but that first play already almost sealed the deal. And later on, they had such a good opportunity, but it just wasn't enough to get 1 kill. And Lena kind of miraculously survived with like 90 HP or something like that. So they could still have turned it around then, but once that didn't happen and they ended up getting team wiped themselves without really finding more than just that 1 single kill, it was even more than over. So things looking good for Clash. I'm assuming they're just going to be going for the same comp, and I'm just so curious at what SK are going to be bringing in to try to counter it. And interesting. We have a bit of a switcheroo there from SK. Clash, they're going to be going for triple tank, or like double tank Mortis, I guess.
The B though, the B. That's it's going to be a bit difficult for Clash, and that should really be sweeping up near enough all 3 of them in this scenario, to be honest. Scarus knows he needs to get some of these shots off the slows there as well. The meteor coming down, but he should be topped off by a little 3k, and he does do just that. The mortar's already being placed as well, but I'm not sure if the wall break's really going to favour Clash or SK at this point. Obviously, the B's going to thrive from it, but they can't really put the mortar in an aggressive position.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like in the end, SK, they kind of need those walls to be open, you know, to have enough range to try to deal some damage before they get up close. So, I don't know. I think that overall, Clash need to be really careful with which walls end up getting destroyed by Chaos. As well as, obviously, you know, the util from SK that can do the same work. But just that 1 star in favor of SK Gaming and Clash, playing it very passively so far, really afraid to get too aggressive. Maybe also just waiting for the last couple of seconds so they don't even need to fall back and can just rely on the clock saving the day after they get an entry kill. But the entry kill still seems like it's pretty far from here.
Yeah, you can see Chaos just getting intentionally hit to get his super, which is a really, really smart decision, especially with only 20 seconds left. He needs to get his. And this is where Gia and Lenane are going to struggle. They can't get their supers off passive abilities unless Gia's in the range, which he just can't get close to at this point. Chaos is going to be the one who's going to be providing all the pressure. The slow's there, but he jumps directly over it. The Honey Molasses follows it up, though, as the pot gets dropped down. Lenane goes in, and he does get the pickup. The takedown's not there from Jen just yet, though. And Skyrix does not manage to pick up Lenane. Clash are going to take the second set. And that is a very, very surprising loss for SK Gaming, as I feel like oh, wait. I'm seeing an SK. Did SK take the first game? Is that not the set? I feel like that's the set, right? Am I completely going off?
Yeah, for me it was the set as well. Is it a little mistake, or did someone play a Ben Brawler? I don't think anyone played a Ben Brawler.
I think it's the set.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
Yeah.
It's gotta be.
We'll go with that. We'll go from there.
Yeah, we'll assume it is the set until we hear if it's not. But okay, definitely interesting. So it should be Dueling Beetles coming up next. Checking chat as well if anyone has a clue.
There you go. It's been changed.
Yeah, perfect. All right. So Hot Zone coming up next. Ring of Fire. It is as well. That's definitely a tough map as a third map. I feel like it's a really, really rough map to finish on. Can be very punishing. I feel like a team wipe and you can lose so much control and just really struggle to take it back. And yeah, it's so hard to take back that positioning. So sometimes, especially if you have those bells in the mix, which should be banned, I believe, in its matchup. So that might be of help. But still, it's going to be an interesting one. I feel like the bans, I mean, besides maybe like Brock, don't cover this map the most, as Nani and Tick are just not going to be coming here. Rico can be played, but I still don't feel like he's one of the go-to brawlers. You see him occasionally. So, for the most part, they can pretty much just, go with what you'd expect to see in the first place. I would really like to see some Byron and 8-bit. I feel like it does work so well on this map. Such a deadly combination. What else would you see fit here? I mean, you can always bring in a Piper as well or something like that, but I'm not sure. I say I'm surely expecting the Leon. I don't think that's bad, right? The Leon should probably be one of the main picks. No, yeah, that's a good one. So I think we'll maybe see some Leon. Obviously, Rico out the mix, which can usually deal with it quite well. We did see that Byron 8-bit and the Penny as well, though, didn't we, in the previous game, which worked very, very well for a Reply Totem comeback against... I can't remember who it was against. My brain's going, but... I mean, they did a really nice job of it regardless, and it was against a Crow, so... I mean, lovely plays from them anyway. Was it against Bunker, or was it against SK? I'm thinking it was SK. I'm assuming SK, because I remember against Bunker... It was not really the toughest match, so it must have been SK. Well, then SK. Maybe Clash know what to play right now. Or SK learned from their mistakes. I'm completely lost for it. Yeah, well... Oh, Meg. Okay. I like that. I don't know if it's going to work, but I do like that we get to see it. It's the first time I see Meg being played competitive, actually, I think. Yeah, same with me, I'll say as well. They can't quite get the angle on those lollipop drops just yet, though, and
Gen taking some seriously heavy fire. The bounce goes back onto him. The mech of the Meg is popped by Semantic, and he just doesn't have the angles to get the peak ability. Extremely low. Chaos pops his invisibility there, though. Not going to get too much value off it. Semantic very low now, and the shield's going to be his saving grace as he doesn't take enough damage to go down just yet. But Clash edging onto the zone bit by bit, taking only a 7% advantage. It's not too drastic, and it's nothing to worry about for SK. But it's really going to come down to whether Semantic is going to be able to get this mech enough and get enough value out of it, which I just don't see happening because the angles just aren't there.
Oh, Chaos is in trouble there. Up going down. Semantic is pretty low HP himself. Does get healed up a little bit. Semantic struggling to take down the lollipop drop. The hit from Semantic doesn't quite find the kill there, but SK, they did take the lead. I don't know, man. So far, I feel like Meg has been a little bit underwhelming, but the other lanes were just losing as well, so it's not really like it's the reason why it's not been going amazingly for SK. They do have a little bit of a lead, so things could be a lot worse. And there we get the Meg coming in again. Skyrix was a nice elimination, does get traded out, and now able to find another one as well. Oh, apparently, guys, Meg is global banned, which means that SK just gave up a match point to Clash.
I mean, honestly, I'm kind of hoping that Clash are going to win it anyway, which is looking like they probably will. Just so SK don't feel so hard done by. But, I mean, overall, the rules are the rules, and you've got to abide by them. And if it's written in the rules that Meg's banned, then that's a GG.
Yeah, I mean, the result doesn't matter too much in the end, right? But at least, yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. But match point for SK, for Clash, sorry, coming up, no matter what. I do wonder if they actually will win it. At least, you know, for the fun of it, right? Because, yeah, it is SK to take it. I mean, they might be aware of it anyways, right? So it doesn't matter too much, but they did take it, I guess.
I was going to say that'd have been quite a good ending to a game as well. I will say that was a 96% to 100, so it'd have been an absolutely amazing game if it wasn't going to be banned. So
I'm sad.
Yeah, screw Meg. Screw Meg. What are you doing, Meg?
Yeah,
Stop being,
I feel like that was the ending we deserved, but it wasn't quite like we couldn't really hype it up since it didn't matter. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's very sad. But I think Clash, I mean, they'll be happy about it because instead of being on the receiving end of having to face that match point, they actually have the match point in their favor now. So some people, you know, not going to be the happiest, probably SK fans and SK themselves. But Clash, I mean, right now, they just got that match point delivered to them on a silver platter. One more game. All it takes here for Clash and SK Gaming. I don't know. The thing is, it always sucks, right? To lose a game like this, especially when it's a match point you're giving away. But at the same time, they were playing pretty well here on the map, so they could still turn things around here for sure. It's not like we just had the most dominant game from Clash, right? We just had a bit of an interesting way of getting here, but I feel like SK is still in here. I feel like SK is still in. Clash, they're just a little bit more in.
Yeah, I mean, I would say match point for Clash, but I mean, you can't rule SK out yet. I will say they won that match. Whether Meg was played or not, they did actually, you know, win the game, not the match, obviously, because Meg was globally banned, but they did win it. They won it, which shows they've at least got some kind of prestige on this map. And definitely 2 games in a row is nothing that you can rule out. One more game and it's even Stevens. I mean, you can't really, you can't say SK Gaming aren't going to bring this one back because Clash, honestly, they looked quite good in that one, but just SK looked to slide them out better.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, obviously, you know, Clash were probably not expecting to be facing Meg either, but once again, I didn't feel like Meg was really the reason they won that game. I feel like the other sides of the map where things happened to pop off at some point were what made really the big difference. But I mean, we can't really say, you know, we can't really say, and I think we'll have to see what happens next in the next couple of games. If we even get a next couple of games, because it might just be the one here to close things out if Clash win it. And considering how close it was, it could absolutely have gone either way anyways, you know? So Clash definitely still in, definitely still having a good shot at just closing things out like that. And SK Gaming, it's going to be a bit of a tougher fight for them. They got an extra game that they need to win. But we've seen them come back from way tougher situations than this, so absolutely still in it as well. And there's only going to be one way to find out. Hopefully we get in game soon enough, because honestly, I can't wait to see, man. I can't wait to see.
Yeah. I was going to say, hopefully we're not going to have too many complaints from SK Gaming, and that's why the game's being held up. I'm not too sure. But it kind of seems like we are going to be going into a game relatively soon. Right now, and SK are deciding to pull out something a bit fruity with the triple tank.
Alright, this is gonna be a nightmare for Clash, isn't it? I mean, it could be worse, right? They have the bell, but still not sure if it's gonna be enough. Semantic did get kind of destroyed from the get-go. But now, takes down Skyrex, Jeden goes down as well, and that's the team wipe. Okay. I mean, SK, they're still pretty much same amount of percentages captured, but at least the kills were going the ways of Clash. Seems like they still are for a bit. Jeden does connect that stun, hits Lena with it as well. Follow-up stun from Jeden doesn't connect though. And Akios is able to get the kill in the end. A bit of a lead still for Clash. Not a huge lead. Those bats could have been placed a little better there by Semantic. Akios on the hunt there to find Jeden, should be able to find the Elim. Just gonna be sitting next to him, healing up. And Clash slowly winding up that percentage.
Yeah, it's not looking too bad for Clash. I was thinking they might be having a bit of a nightmare on this one, but the stun only connects with Yoshi on the first one, and the second one's going to completely miss. Chaos comes back in for a bit more, gets the Invisi heal off, but it's just not enough to keep him up. Scar's not going to be popping that super just yet, which might be a bit of a mistake there, as now Yoshi can slide on. It's going to take a few shots for some man to take him down. Only 9% required, and the wall's going to keep Linane in it, but they feed him super. Jetson gets the double stun. Chaos is not got the Invisi heal, 1% needed, but Yoshi cannot push this just yet. He's going to run for it now. The sprint is on. He doesn't manage to secure it, and this could be a huge turnaround. The super, but he's invis, the heals, and SK are going to secure it and bring it back to the one-match point.
My goodness, what a comeback in this game from SK. And that's going to be a little devastating for Clash as well, to lose a game like that. Wow, that is going to be tough to reset. And that was close, man. I swear, when the Sprout was in the zone, I thought surely this is going to close it out, right? But somehow, the tick didn't go through until he was dead, and yeah, that's really unfortunate. But what a performance there from SK. What a clutch. What a way to get this to double match point. It's gonna be just that one next game to decide who will be taking first place in this week's open qualifier. I mean, nothing is gonna be set in stone just yet, right? There's still gonna be another week of open qualifiers plus the last chance qualifiers, so there's still plenty of chance. Made it both to the finals last week as well, if I remember correctly. But still, man, quite an exciting match already, and I want to have some more of that. 1%, Trav, 1%.
I mean, saying that last game is the one we deserved, that is the game we actually deserved. And honestly, I'm really glad that it's going to double match point, because if SK had just thrown it away because they played Meg, I'd have been quite upset about this final. So double match point is the game we deserve, and it's the game SK deserve as well after that performance. I will say, though, they had the wall down. The Sprout wall was there. He didn't have super. And then the Leon just walks too close, feeds it. And then that's where it all goes wrong for Clash. It was done and dusted right there and then if he didn't feed that super. But, I mean, at the end of the day, he fed it. SK with a huge comeback. And now it's double match point.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I think we didn't see it coming. And I honestly feel like Clash themselves did not see it coming either. I think they were just as surprised as we were, but at some point, yeah, the situation just got out of hand, and with the Frank as well, it's just really tough to get in there. It's really tough to get in that zone. Was chaining those supers, and yeah, maybe a little bit more coordination could have made the trick, but it got very chaotic. However, now Clash are going to have to try to forget about that game, as they need to focus on this one. Double match point, one game to decide who will take the first place in this open qualifier. And so far, it seems like SK Gaming have a little bit more mid-presence, or at least spend a couple more seconds in zone, but it's going to be matched soon enough.
Yeah, AQM now are the ones in the dominant mid lead. Yoshi throws a wall down and it couldn't be more perfect. No way through on that side. So he's got 10 seconds of pure bliss just spamming the lane and the opposition can't do anything. The shot connects to Jetton and the bounce back is not going to be there just yet as Scarrett just gets out of the way. 42% already secured for Clash, and that is a big lead to come into it. However, Semantics wipes through that left-hand side and just pure domination over there. And now Jetton can now slot into that push too and start yet another comeback.
Alright, the Clash still was a bit of a lead, but SK was the control. And long term is definitely the favorable of the two. SK still capturing that zone and starting to slowly run away with a larger and larger lead. Can Clash get them out of this position? Mark doesn't connect. Jetton with a big kill. Yoshi going for the flank, gets stabbed by Skyrex. This could be it.
Lenane's just not fancying it. He's just he just doesn't want it, and that is going to be the game to SK.
Not having any.
And honestly, I was going to say, why couldn't that previous game have been the decider? Why couldn't it have been the deciding double match point? Because that is just a very anticlimactic finish when the team does give up, isn't it, really? But SK Gaming, regardless of their Meg global ban being played, are going to take the game at the end of the day.
All right, G's SK will be taking first place in this open qualifier, and honestly they've been performing really well lately. I feel like that there are ups and downs in the last couple months, but definitely starting to pick things up again, especially if you look at this matchup as well, that they've been starting to win more again. Let's go check out the bracket, guys, see how today went for those that missed some of those earlier matches. Maybe there are some that you want to actually watch in the VOD, but let's check it through, especially the main events. Well, we had FA Frutas take down Tribe Gaming as the biggest upset, as well as actually falling right after that to Clash. Blood Diamond was a nice 2-1 victory against Navi, was also quite an event. They did drop a loss against Clash in the semis. SK Gaming, they did win 2-1 against Reply Totem. On the right side of the bracket, maybe a little bit less stacked, a little bit less of those big events, but I mean, obviously the grand final here, SK Gaming, was a 2-1 victory against AC Milan Clash. What a match here as well, and what a final set to end it. I think we have the leaderboards, if I am correct, to go check out the points. AC Milan, Clash, and SK, they're tied up at 27 points because Clash, they won last week's qualifiers. SK, they won today's, so they're both won first place, won second place. Almost guaranteed to qualify at this point, I think, but they're in an incredibly sweet spot for those playoffs. Navi and Blood Diamond at 16 points right behind. Kudaleteo and Reply Totem at 10. Big Clan and 6 other teams are tied at 6 points as well. So still plenty of different opportunities and scenarios possible. But today is going to be SK's day as they pick up a nice victory against Clash after yet another El Clasico.
Yeah, I mean, complete opposite of what happened last week. We saw Clash going victorious in the first open qualifier, SK biting back and taking the second qualifier in a really, really nice fashion after obviously being taken that game off them and match point being provided to Clash. They did manage to come back and take that second set with the third set, should I say, 2 games in a row. So really nice plays from them overall.
All right, well, that is going to be settling it for today's show here, the second open qualifiers of this fall 2021 season. Well, thank you very much for watching. First of all, if you guys are hungry for some more tomorrow, you'll be seeing BrawlMSTRS NA, same channel as well. And then next week, we'll be back for the third and final open qualifiers. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and we'll see you guys next week.